Indeed, luxurious, Ning Xinyue said, feigning a surprised expression. It looks like the Han family has had some bad luck. They arranged a marriage alliance with the Nanjing king and sent off their young lady, Han Ruyan, but then this happened recently. I've heard that they've sought help from many disciples of first-class sects, including the Purple Mist sect, Miaoyin Temple, and Guanchao Pavilion, the scholar said. At these words, Su Jie and Xiao Fengyuan's eyes lit up immediately. The reason why Su Jie and his companions had come to East Victory City was the directive of the Identity Jade, suggesting that Qi Shijian was likely residing within the city. Putting together what the scholar said, things became progressively clearer. Thank you for the clarification. Ning Xinyue smiled sweetly and bid farewell to the scholar. The Han family, huh? After entering the city, Su Jie checked the guidance of the Identity Jade, and as luck would have it, the direction it pointed to was right where the Han mansion was located. It seems that the whereabouts of Qi Shijian indeed lie with the Han family, Su Jie thought to himself, and shared the guidance of the Identity Jade with Ning Xinyue and Xiao Fengyuan. Are we going in directly? Xiao Fengyuan asked, his voice low, contemplating a swift and decisive strike to capture their target. I would like to do just that, but over at the Han family. Su Jie shook his head. The Han family had many disciples from the reputable sects gathered there. With only Su Jie and Xiao Fengyuan to fight, plus Ning Xinyue who doesn't exert much effort, they were outmatched by the numerous disciples of the righteous sects, and a head-on confrontation was too risky. Now, given that our identities are those of ordinary capable people set on doing good, isn't the Han mansion seeking assistance? We could respond to their call, first seek an opportunity to scout, and then strike when the moment is right, Su Jie suggested after some thought. Xiao Fengyuan nodded. I have no objections. That sounds quite interesting, Ning Xinyue chirped, her eyebrows raised in delight. The thrill of subterfuge appealed greatly to her. The Han mansion was located in the southwestern corner of East Victory City, sprawling over an extensive area. Tall and majestic courtyards with intricately carved beams and painted ridges, overwhelming eaves, deep gates and alleyways twisted and turned like a labyrinth. This estate was like a small city in itself, with embroidered buildings, kitchens, family schools, academies, flower gardens, servant residences, and surrounded courtyards. There were thousands of rooms and hundreds of courtyards, large and small. Everywhere was planted with a variety of flowers and trees, teeming with colorful blossoms, towering bamboos, picturesque ponds, and pavilions interspersed. They say even a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Even in decline, the Han family's splendor was beyond what common people could even dare to dream about. At this moment, in the Han family's rear garden, distinct with its seasons, with spring's purple hazes and summers inviting cicada songs, autumn's gold and green trees, a group of young men and women were enjoying the scenery and playing. The men were graceful and extraordinary in appearance, while the women had bright teeth and beautiful brows, with hair piled high and elegant. Among these people, two were particularly striking. One had long hair over the shoulders, slender shoulders, a delicate waist, skin as smooth as ice and bones as fine as jade, an absolutely gorgeous appearance, eyes that captivated the soul, wearing dazzling silk clothes, adorned with gold and jade jewelry, sparkling with pearls, and footed in jade shoes, moving with dignified grace, shining bright as precious pearls and jades. This girl was none other than the darling of the Han family, Han Ruyan. Another woman, with a countenance pale as snow and features like a painting. Her long hair cascaded down like a waterfall. She was clad in celestial clothes adorned with cloud patterns and tassels, holding a phoenix feather fan in her hand. She seemed like a goddess seated on high clouds, her gait surrounded by an enchanting melody, exuding an aura of spiritual energy that could sway one's soul. This was Fairy Mo from Miaoyin Temple, Mo Shiyao, widely known as the first beauty among the young generation in Qingzhou. Miss Han, do you truly not wish to join our Miaoyin Temple? With your talent, you could surely reach Taoist platform realm in your cultivation journey, or even ascend to a higher realm, observing the world's transformation without being tainted by a speck of dust. enjoying a long and lasting life. Mo Shuryao's voice was sweet, laced with an enchanting allure. Her gaze followed the dazzling girl beside her, and solely in terms of beauty, the two were evenly matched. But as for their aura, she was like a goddess descending from the ninth heaven, while the other merely possessed a nobility from birth, distinguishing their ranks. Fairy Mo, I cannot defy my parents' orders. I am already betrothed to the Nanjing king and will be married in 5 days. There's no longer any opportunity for me to seek the path of cultivation and query the Tao. Han Ruyan's voice was soft and mellow, like a rich wine that could intoxicate the listener. Miss Han, your heavenly spinning jade light body is such that you would progress at a rapid pace in your cultivation. If you are willing to join the Purple Mist sect, I'm sure our sect elders can help mediate the matter with the Nanjing king. A young man clothed in white, with flowing hair and handsome features, exuded an extraordinary aura that seemed detached from worldly concerns, spoke persuasively. He was the beloved grandson of the sect master of the Purple Cloud sect, Xiao Guanglian, a divine son intensively nurtured by his sect. By Xiao Guanglian's side stood a man with a gentle smile. At the moment, he chimed in, saying, Miss Han, the Purple Mist sect is one of Qingzhou's reputable sections. Your concerns about your family and the Nanjing king are trivial matters that we will handle for you. If Su Jie and Xiao Fengyuan were here, they would have recognized the man speaking. It was none other than Qi Shijian, whom they had been desperately seeking. He was now mingling with a group of people from reputable sects, his eyes occasionally fixing on Mo Shiryao with a gaze filled with intense adoration. Miss Han, Guanchao Pavilion has a certain rapport with the imperial family of the Deli dynasty. I imagine the Nanjing king would give us some face. A man dressed in a wide, blue robe with a white jade belt tied around his waist, his black hair fluttering in the wind, stood with an impressive and commanding air. His eyes and eyebrows reflected an untamed spirit, and he spoke with strong confidence and charm. He was Yu Wenjing from Guanchao Pavilion, who possessed the obsidian scale body, ranking 14th among divine bodies, and boasted of a 7th level cultivation within the 10 levels of the Yunling realm. His status and strength within his sect were even above what Du Xiaochang once had. While speaking, he looked at Han Ruyan with admiration. This young woman, who bore the heavenly spinning jade light body ranked 7th among the divine bodies, was a first-class cultivation physique in the world. Known as the Beichin Chui Xiong, orbited by all stars, it was deemed the creation mechanism, the master of gods and men, commanding awe across the 3 realms, ruling all spirits. This was the terrifying potential of the heavenly spinning jade light body, said to be capable of shaking the 3 realms and ruling all spirits upon its growth. Being born in the Han Mansion and exposed to music, chess, calligraphy, and painting from a young age, she had not rigorously cultivated, and solely through the natural growth of her spiritual power, she already possessed a 7th level cultivation in the Yunling realm. If she embraced the path of cultivation and received nurturance and teachings from a sect, she was bound to become, at the very least, a powerful being in the Taoist platform realm and possibly ascend to even higher realms, having the potential to protect her sect for a millennium. After Xiao Guanglian and Yu Wenjing had spoken, about a dozen other men and women also took turns to persuade her. They were all disciples from various sects in Qingzhou, drawn here because Han Ruyan's heavenly spinning jade light body had been discovered during a routine checkup before her marriage to the Nanjing king, which had caused a sensation throughout Qingzhou. This was, after all, a divine body ranked in the top 10. Should she join any sect, it would greatly benefit from her growth. Consequently, these sects sprang into action, each in a hurry to invite Han Ruyan to join their ranks. Mo Shiryao stepped onto the cobblestone path by the pond and looked at the mandarin ducks playing in the water, pointing with her hand. Miss Han, look at these mandarin ducks, forming pairs and casting shadows. You are entrusting your life to the Nanjing king without even meeting him once. Do you think you will be happy in the future? There's no need for anyone to say more. Having been cared for by the Han family since childhood, I've long been prepared for this. Personal emotions are of little significance. With the light shining on her profile, Han Ruyan appeared as flawless as white jade, her beautiful face displaying an indifferent calm like water, showing neither much sorrow nor much joy. For the Han family, the Nanjing king, the real power holder of Jingzhou, was the best marriage alliance prospect and key to their potential resurgence. To regain high positions in the court, the support of the Nanjing king was extremely important. Even if it meant sending away the treasured daughter of the family for marriage, it was unanimously approved by everyone in the Han family. Han Ruyin was well aware of her fate. Born into a famous family like the Han family, indulging in exotic delicacies and silk since childhood, her fate had been silently labeled with a price. And now, it was time to repay through this arranged marriage. If you want to change the fate of the Han family, once you achieve the Taoist platform realm, only then can you truly help your clan. Yu Wenjing chuckled lightly, exuding an unstoppable domineering aura, and slowly said, "Instead of relying on someone else as your support, why not become the support for your own family? The influence and pressure that a cultivator of the Taoist platform realm can bring, you must be quite aware of it, Miss Han." Those words struck a chord in Han Ruyin's heart, and she couldn't help but look towards Yu Wenjing. The Han family was also a cultivation family. Their ancestor had fought alongside the founding emperor of the Dali dynasty, leaving behind many cultivation scriptures. But as the family declined, much was sold or lost. Nowadays, few of the Han mansion's family members who practice cultivation have reached the secret realm, with most of them either studying hard for official exams or engaging in business. The number of family members dedicated to cultivation is very small, and their cultivation levels are generally mediocre. Still, this didn't mean Han Ruyin was unaware of how formidable a Taoist platform realm cultivator could be. In a sect, that level corresponded to the supreme elder, the battle power of a sect master. In a cultivation family or a great clan, it was a strength usually possessed only by patriarchs. Even in the Delhi dynasty, where the current politics were in shambles and talent scarce, a Taoist platform realm cultivator could easily assume a second-grade or higher position in the court if they wished to serve the Delhi dynasty. Seeing Han Ruyin wavering, Yu Wenjing continued, "My Guanchao Pavilion is the leading great sect in Qingzhou, with numerous strong cultivators. If Miss Han joins us, I dare say the Nanjing king wouldn't dare cause you trouble. Regarding the Han family, our sect is willing to take in a group of talented youth, encouraging them to join our sect for cultivation. Even if the Han family completely falls apart one day, these clan members within our sect can still spread their branches and rebuild a more splendid cultivation family." Yu Wenjing's words were undeniably tempting. With just a nod, she could soar into the immortal sect, become a disciple specially nurtured, and even benefit the younger members of her family. "This matter carries the hopes of my parents. I'm afraid I will disappoint you all. My mind is made up." Ultimately, Han Ruyin still shook her head. Her wedding date with the Nanjing king was approaching, and calling it off now would be akin to slapping the face of the powerful prince, which would greatly offend him. She herself could enter the immortal sect and ignore the mortal world. But the Han family would undoubtedly face oppression on all fronts, not to mention the impossibility of returning to high positions in the court. That was her father's lifetime aspiration. The surrounding disciples from the sect fell silent, not expecting this woman's resolve to be so firm. As the group wandered, they neared the front hall area, hearing the faint commotion. "What's going on up ahead?" Han Ruyin asked a servant. "To report to Miss, it's those able people who have come to answer the call for the examination, seeking to resolve the mysterious deaths occurring in the mansion as of late. The master and the others are also in the front hall," the servant replied, stealing glances at the breathtakingly beautiful daughter of the house who, regretfully, would soon marry the Nanjing king and would no longer be seen after a few more days. "Ladies and gentlemen, would anyone care to take a closer look?" Han Ruyin found an excuse to divert attention from the previous topic. "Let's all go together and see." Emo Shiryao gave a faint smile, walking shoulder to shoulder with Han Ruyin. The group arrived at the front hall and found it crowded with many people. There were about a dozen individuals of various attire, able people with unusual skills, as well as the Han family's servants and several of the clan's elders. Ru Yen, a middle-aged man dressed in a brocade robe, with a jade pendant hanging at his waist and a folding fan in hand, looked over. His brows were furrowed, betraying a heavy heart as he paced around the courtyard, seemingly lost in thought. He was Han Ruyan's father, the current master of the Han family, Han Jinghuan. Father, I've come to take a look with these distinguished young cultivators from the immortal sex. Han Ruyan approached with graceful steps, speaking cheerfully in front of Han Jinghuan. Uncle Han, I apologize for the intrusion. Mo Shiryao walked over leisurely, nodding with a smile. Miaoyin Temple was not far from East Victory City, and Master Si Xining had some familial connections with the Han family. So it's Miss Mo, is your master well? Han Jinghuan stroked his beard and spoke lightly, unfurling his fan. My master is currently engaged in the campaign against the Ghost Ridge Palace and is too occupied to be present, so he instructed me to come and lend assistance with the crisis in Han Mansion. Mo Shiryao spoke very politely, though her main reason for coming here was for Han Ruyan, which naturally she did not say. Uncle Han, I fear that you won't get much hope from these applicants. Most of them possess mere trivial skills. Yu Wenjing looked toward the courtyard, where the so-called able people were energetically showcasing their skills. Most were loose cultivators without any sect or school, performing minor tricks like palm thunder, drawing a prison, earth tunneling, rain summoning technique, and evil avoidance and fortune-telling. And that was the better lot. Some weren't even loose cultivators, just martial artists with basic boxing, swordplay, and other martial arts skills, and there were even swindlers from Jianghu who relied on sleight of hand to deceive others, none of whom caught his interest. Nephew Yuan, my family is not at peace, struck by some calamity, with mysterious deaths occurring day and night. Regardless of the reason, I have to try something, and what I've paid is just some silver coin, which amounts to little. Han Jinghuan shook his head, responding non-committally to Yu Wenjing's remark. If Uncle Han doesn't mind, we're also willing to lend a hand, without making any bold claims, whether it's the work of demons or the mischief of thieves. With so many of us from reputable sects here, we won't ignore the situation. We will help you get to the bottom of it. Yu Wenjing clasped his hands, speaking confidently, intending to first gain favor with the Han family by resolving their crisis before making a move to persuade Han Ruyan, thus increasing his chances. That would be wonderful. Han Jinghuan's face lit up with joy, confident that with the help of these upright sect disciples, the ominous calamity within the mansion would certainly be resolved. Let the new batch in. Selecting a few promising candidates, Han Jinghuan did not give up his own recruitment despite Yu Wenjing's promise, knowing very well that these righteous disciples may need to stay for an indeterminate amount of time. If the issue wasn't resolved by then, he would still need to rely on the people he had recruited himself. Shortly after, a new batch of able individuals entered the courtyard. Among them, Su Jie, Xiao Fengyuan, and Ning Xinyue were discreetly mixed in. As soon as he entered the courtyard, Su Jie's peripheral vision caught sight of two familiar figures. One was a woman with an ethereal presence and stunning beauty, Qingyin Fairy Mo Shiryao. The other was Su Jie's target for this mission, Qi Shijian, who stood behind a man dressed in the attire of the Purple Mist sect, chatting and laughing with others, showing no hint of the murderous intent of a demon cultivator. A sharp light burst from Xiao Fengyuan's eyes, and his blood surged. Stay calm, Su Jie advised, putting a hand on Xiao Fengyuan and shaking his head slightly. Now was not the time to make a move. There were too many righteous disciples. These weren't merely outer disciples, nor were they common inner disciples. To recruit Han Ruyan, the possessor of the heavenly spinning jade light body, each great sect had sent their elite disciples, aiming to showcase the teaching standard of their respective sects. Therefore, each righteous disciple present in the Han Mansion had robust vitality like dragons, towering spirit pressure, and a remarkable aura. Among them, a few exerted on Su Jie a pressure no less than Du Xiaochang, perhaps even surpassing him. Gentlemen, please take turns to demonstrate your abilities. Once successfully recruited, regardless of success or failure, you will receive 300 taels of silver. Moreover, should you help resolve the dire calamity of the Han family, 10,000 taels of silver will be presented with both hands. Han Jinghuan lightly waved his folding fan, his gaze sweeping over. Having long heard of the Han family's great name, I am Ji Yingxian, known in Jianghu as the vast divine palm, declared a confident man in a green shirt, stepping forward boldly. With a flick of his head, he leapt over 10 meters into the air and thundered, "Divine power sky palm!" Boom! A loud explosion echoed from the void, shattering several cobblestones in the courtyard, and a small tree, as thick as a calf's leg, was snapped in two. The man in green exhaled deeply, clapped his hands repeatedly, and palm prints fell in succession, kicking up dust in the courtyard and leaving shallow pits in the ground. "Good. Not bad," complimented Han Jinghuan with a satisfied nod and signaled discreetly. Immediately, a servant approached with a tray containing ingots of silver. One by one, talented individuals took the stage, some being recruited, and others failing to catch Han Jinghuan's eye. "My name is Zhu Ye, and I specialize in the ice control technique." When it was Ning Xinyue's turn, the girl gracefully lifted her skirt, and wisps of frost spread from her feet. The ground and the trees in the courtyard crystallized into ice, transforming the space into a world of frost and snow. "Oh, that's quite interesting," remarked Yu Wenjing with keen eyes. He snapped a piece of solid ice with his hand, quite proud of himself. "If I'm not mistaken, you practice the 10,000 cold skill. It's quite remarkable for a loose cultivator to master such a technique. Although the 10,000 cold skill is just a low-level technique and widely circulated, it still speaks to your abilities." Ning Xinyue lifted her head and smiled slightly. "That's right. Oh, I naturally cannot compare to your righteous disciples. However, with this skill, I've been quite successful among the loose cultivators." Clearly, Ning Xinyue did not use her Shenin body. Otherwise, the severe cold would have made it impossible for Yu Wenjing to touch it with his bare hands without circulating his spiritual power. "Very well, Heroine Zhu. I hope you can help us resolve the disaster in the mansion soon," laughed Han Jinghuan heartily, feeling that Ning Xinyue's participation made his recruitment worthwhile. "My name is Storm Gun, Xia Xiuxi." Xiao Fengyuan also took the stage, his spear thrusting like a fierce storm, performing a set of spear technique as a member of the martial arts community. Smoothly, Xiao Fengyuan's performance too received acknowledgement. Shadowless Sword, Su Chongqing. At last, Su Jie stepped forward and performed a set of sword techniques, a complementary sword maneuver of the green rainbow sword technique. In the past, Su Jie always used the flying sword, controlling the white bone sky slaying sword to kill enemies from a distance, never having the opportunity to fight up close with sword moves. However, the proficiency, physical strength, and sharpness of his eyes were apparent. Su Jie performed vigorously, filling the air with layers upon layers of sword shadows, easily gaining recognition. This pure martial artist must be at most at the 3rd level of Yunling realm in cultivation. Xiao Guanglian looked on with disdain. Such martial artists only practiced the basics of punches and kicks. In their immortal sect, even a disciple at the 2nd level of the Yunling realm could not be defeated. So-called people from the martial arts, with nicknames that sound grand and imposing. Mo Shiyao pursed her lips with a light laugh, appearing somewhat indifferent. These able people weren't worth her special attention. Just some trivial tricks, not worth mentioning at all. Qi Shijian echoed repeatedly, adding his comments, his gaze often drifting towards Mo Shiyao, his eyes warm, but Mo Shiyao hardly gave him a direct look. Han Ruyan listened to the words of these righteous disciples, her lustrous eyes glancing over, showing a hint of disappointment as well. After Han Jinghuan finished gathering all the necessary hands, he ordered his servants to make arrangements and treated them to good food and drinks. Oh! As night fell, Su Jie and the others were arranged to stay in the guest rooms. Under the moonlight, the three met on the rooftop to discuss their next plans. "Brother Su, Brother Xiao, what shall we do?" Ning Xinyue was sitting on the ridge, swinging her delicate little legs lazily, asked. "I have figured out the direction Qi Shijian lives, but it's also where that group of righteous disciples reside. Acting directly would surely attract a siege." Xiao Fengyuan drew up a map of Han Mansion and marked the location where Qi Shijian lived. "It's not wise to act openly, As Su Jie was speaking, he suddenly turned his head, His gaze shifted towards a dark, lightless corner. Thud, thud, thud. An object round and plump like a ball rolled over. Accompanied by the sound of bells and running, a faint smell of blood wafted through the air. The ball was clearly a human head. From the darkness, a pair of pale arms reached out and suddenly embraced the head on the ground. Immediately after, a child in a red belly band, with his head tilted, looked up at Su Jie and the other two on the rooftop. This child's skin was utterly bloodless, revealing a morbid pallor, a bell tied around his ankle, and his eyes void of sclera and pupils, deep black in the night, which was extremely terrifying. "Brother, come play with me." The child let out giggly laughter. The eyes of the head he held snapped open, and it stared straight into Su Jie's eyes. Crack! A faint line of blood appeared on Su Jie's neck, and blood began to flow. "Don't look into the eyes of the head." No sooner had Su Jie spoken than the wound on his neck closed up. Su Jie stepped forward in an instant, appearing before the child holding the head, looking down at him with a cold smirk. "Little ghost, brother will play with you, but you must not run away, okay?" The child, who emitted a chilling and eerie aura, opened his mouth wide for a silent scream that seemed to shatter one's brains. Pale arms crawled out from Su Jie's flanks, swiftly covering the child's entire body. Spiritual power spread over the corpse hands, forcibly controlling the child and preventing his escape. The child kept opening his mouth, emitting howls unlike any human sound. Several pale corpse hands twisted into a braid, but more hands quickly covered them, the numbers and strength obviously mismatched. "Let me take a look, just a small fierce ghost." Su Jie squatted down and peered through the dense gaps between the corpse hands to see the struggling child inside. Su Jie was far from unfamiliar with such beings. Back in Nanyang City, when he was still weak, he had personally experienced the terror of such fierce ghosts. "Is this a ghost monster?" Xiao Fengyuan appeared next to Su Jie, looking at the trapped child and feeling a very cold spiritual power. Generally speaking, spiritual power is warm, like the sun during daylight, and even demon cultivators prefer to absorb the purple qi and the early morning spiritual energy of the rising sun. Encountering the cold aura of spiritual energy like that from this child ghost was a first for Xiao Fengyuan. The strange and violent deaths at Han Mansion, were they caused by this child? Since there's a fierce ghost, does that mean the Heavenly Soul Sect is involved? Ning Xinyue speculated, making her guess. It probably can't be separated from the Heavenly Soul Sect, but this one fierce ghost isn't enough to influence the vast Han family. There are likely other fierce ghosts lurking here. Su Jie stood up, his left hand suddenly clenched into a fist. Hundreds of pale corpse hands pressured inward toward the center, instantly crushing the child fierce ghost into nothingness, his essence dissipating into the cold spiritual air. All that was left at the scene was a withered and tattered rag doll, the image of the child fierce ghost. Crack! With a stomp from Su Jie, the entire rag doll was crushed, disappearing into smoke and clouds. Although the fierce ghost possessed eerie abilities, which to ordinary people might seem an unkillable horror, this principle didn't hold true for cultivators. After all, strictly speaking, a fierce ghost is a product of spiritual energy. Since it's spiritual energy, a cultivator's spiritual power can naturally harm and deal damage. It's only a question of how much. Almost immediately after Su Jie had killed the child fierce ghost, they heard urgent footsteps from outside. "Hero Su, Hero Xia, Heroine Zhu, something's happened. Someone else has died. You must come quickly to help." Several servants ran over, panting and with faces filled with shock and fear, as if they had witnessed something terrifying. "Lead the way." The three exchanged looks, and Su Jie took the lead in speaking. He still had to maintain his disguise, so for now he had to follow and see. Exiting the guest house where they had been staying, the nearby area was already stirred up, and a number of able people, aroused from their slumbers, ran towards a certain courtyard. This courtyard housed the servants, but now not a single living person remained. The bodies of the servants hung eerily, like bats, head down and feet up from clotheslines. Upon a closer look, Each servant was actually a human skin. Every bit of flesh, bones, and organs inside was completely gone, and the skins were inflated with air to retain a lively and full appearance. Their eyes sometimes moved, giving the impression that they were still alive, which was exceptionally horrifying and chilling. What is this? Haunted? Some capable people and odd talents were pale as ghosts. This truly challenged their physiological limits. Not good. This Han mansion was indeed strange and dangerous. If only I knew, I wouldn't have been greedy for those few hundred pieces of silver. There were also people filled with immense regret, originally thinking it was an easy job, but this first night was so horrifying, far beyond what the rumors suggested. Taking people's money to eliminate disasters for them. If you aren't going to do the work, then step aside for me. The Chun brothers are not easily scared. Some wanted to take the opportunity to show off, mustering their courage to walk into the side courtyard, intending to inspect those floating pieces of human skin. Hey, I advise you, it's best not to touch those. Su Jie watched their reckless behavior and spoke up to warn them. Humph, even if there really are malevolent ghosts, the two of US brothers can cut it into pieces. The two ungrateful men drew their steel pattern knives and cautiously approached, using the tip of the knife to lift a piece of human skin. The accident happened just then. This action seemed to have touched some taboo. The human skin suddenly billowed, enveloping the two brothers. In the instant they touched the human skin, their flesh dissolved in the blink of an eye. Their clothes immediately caved in emptily, turning into two thin pieces of human skin. Mommy! Ghost! Quick! Use thunderbolts, use fire. Ghosts are most afraid of these. A group of capable people and odd talents was terrified by this hair-raising scene into chaos. Some began to retreat, while others started to use methods they had heard in rumors like palm thunder and the fire control technique to burn those pieces of human skin. However, these actions completely ignited the human skins. All skins fluttered up and flew towards these able people. Any able person who came into contact with these pieces of human skin, whether they were martial arts experts or relatively powerful loose cultivators, would see their flesh obliterated, becoming weird pieces of human skin. In an instant, hundreds of pieces of human skin filled the sky, like the doomsday of ghosts. The watching servants and maids of the Han mansion were so frightened that they faltered and trembled. Their screams and cries echoed through the night. Su Jie retreated with measured steps, avoiding a piece of skin that flew past. That piece of skin turned back halfway through and came flying at Su Jie again. Su Jie deftly dodged without a trace, always seeming to narrowly escape, but in fact everything was calculated. A bunch of rats. All of you back off, don't make a mess. A thunderous, commanding voice came from the sky. Yu Wenjing descended from the heavens, his eyes emitting divine light, with his overwhelming spiritual power bearing down like mountains, causing the air to congeal. With a single hand formed into a claw and a press, 5 fiery dragon pillars descended from the sky, annihilating many of the floating human skins. How dare such trivial ghosts be so presumptuous? Take this. Xiao Guanglian, riding a spirit-feathered phoenix, threw out a golden turtle seal. One of the 4 directions divine beasts, the Xuanwu, materialized and immediately shook many skins to death, tearing them into myriad tiny pieces. One after another righteous disciple arrived. These human skins might have caused chaos among the able people, but facing these peak disciples of the righteous sect, the tide of battle instantly turned. How could this be? This shouldn't be happening. There were only a few deaths each day before. How come so many died all at once today? When all was settled, Han Jinghuan and other members of the Han family finally arrived late on the scene. Witnessing what had happened, every single one of their faces turned pale. With quivering lips, Han Jinghuan was the first to sense that something was wrong. Such a large number of deaths overnight had not happened in the Han mansion before. Uncle Han, it is likely that these ghosts, agitated by our presence, are now desperately causing trouble tonight as a last resort. Yu Wenjing snorted disdainfully, looking over the many of able people who were injured or dead. He spoke with scorn. Uncle Han, I've long said these people are unreliable. Look at them in battle. They do nothing but add to the chaos. The remaining able people, upon hearing these words, were all too angry to speak. The true form of that ghost must still be hidden among us. Everyone, follow me inside to kill the enemy. With the tone of a leader, Yu Wenjing was the first to step into the servants' quarters. Many disciples from the righteous sects also entered, and soon after, sounds of fierce fighting came from within. Right, how is Ru Yen faring? I hope she hasn't encountered any danger. Worriedly pacing outside, Han Jinghuan suddenly thought of something and quickly asked, Master, the young miss has been reading in her boudoir tonight, accompanied by Miss Mo. A servant reported immediately, which made Han Jinghuan breathe a sigh of relief. That's good. That's good. Su Jie's eyes narrowed slightly. No wonder he hadn't seen Mo Shiryao's presence, nor had he seen Qi Shijian. It was likely that Sycophant was lingering around Mo Shiryao again, which is why he hadn't shown up in this side courtyard. Making eye contact with Xiao Fengyuan and Ning Xinyue, the two understood his signal, and the three of them silently withdrew from the crowd. Su Jie found a maid to lead the way, and the three of them quickly headed towards Han Ruyan's location. While the righteous disciples were distracted by the fierce ghost, it was the perfect time to deal with Qi Shijian. Just ahead is the young Mrs. Boudoir courtyard. I'll go announce your arrival. Before the maid could finish speaking, her neck was struck by Su Jie's hand, and she fainted hazily to the ground. Brother Xiao blocked the exit. Junior Sister Zhu, you're in charge of monitoring the movements of the righteous disciples. Cover any oversights. I'll go in first to check the situation. Su Jie gave his orders and then used the mysterious shadow secret technique to silently enter the courtyard. The yard was quite large, with pavilions and terraces hidden among the clouds, and the flying eaves provided a serene environment. Su Jie pricked up his ears and heard the voices of Mo Shiryao and Han Ruyan. His eyes lit up with joy. They're here. Given Qi Shijian's sycophantic nature, he would certainly not be far from Mo Shiryao. Finding her equaled finding Qi Shijian. The next moment, Su Jie pushed open the door from where the voices were coming. The room inside was elegantly furnished, with a graceful landscape painting hanging on the wall. Several layers of colorful curtains divided the space, and the candlelight was dim. The air was filled with a faint scent of flowers. The candles burned brightly. Several flower vases were placed on the dressing table, filled with fresh flowers that danced in the night breeze, radiating bursts of fragrance. The room was filled with steaming mist, creating a hazy atmosphere. As Su Jie opened the door, he found himself face to face with a beautiful silhouette. It was a stunning woman, lightly dressed in translucent silk. Her curvaceous figure, perfect teeth, and elegant brows, a graceful neck leading to exquisite shoulders, her waist as slim as willow, an exemplar of elegance, with partial bare shoulders, water droplets slowly sliding down her fair and delicate skin into the deep valley of her bosom. Her exposed long jade legs were beautiful, defining her as a peerless beauty, full of charm and allure. This woman was none other than Han Ruyan, the Han family's young miss, with whom he had a brief acquaintance. As if time stood still, Su Jie was startled, then turned his gaze towards the curtains behind her. He could vaguely see the steam rising on the other side, and the blurred figure of another woman, which undoubtedly must be Mo Shiryao. The two women were bathing here. No wonder Qi Shijian was nowhere to be seen. While Su Jie's thoughts drifted away, the expressions on Han Ruyan's face transformed from dumbfounded, to dazed, to shocked, to bewildered, and finally to a color of sheer embarrassment. You scoundrel! A cry of rage, Han Ruyan tightly clutched her immaculate and enchanting body, but the thin gauze could hardly hide her alabaster skin that was faintly discernible. What's going on? Behind the curtain, Mo Shiryao burst forth from the water with lightning speed, spun in midair, items from her storage bag flying about as she quickly dressed in a white robe, stepping onto the rippling water and arriving just in time to see the scene before the door. She immediately understood what was happening. True word. Thousand-sword marvelous sound. Mo Shiryao walked forward, with frost gathering behind her in the moonlight. She stepped upon a bridge of moonlight, her mouth emitting heavenly sounds, with swords divine shooting forth, aiming straight for Su Jie's vital spots. Misunderstanding. Su Jie hastily sidestepped backward, and the divine swords flashed by, burying themselves 10 meters deep into the ground. You shameless thief! How dare you peep? Today, I will grind your bones to dust and scatter them to the winds. Enraged to the extreme, Mo Shiryao didn't understand why she hadn't detected Su Jie approaching. Logically, people of the martial arts world with such mediocre skills should be noticed by her over a distance of 100 meters. Who's peeping? I detected an enemy presence and came over here to catch a ghost. If it wasn't for the fact that Su Jie hadn't detected Qi Shijian, and it wasn't a good time to reveal his identity, he would have seized Mo Shiryao and beaten her right there for daring to slander him so. Mo Shiryao's eyebrows furrowed downward in anger, seething with rage. Still saying it's not you? Where is there any ghost here? Miss Mo, don't kill him. Just beating him up to vent your anger will suffice. Hidden behind the curtain, Han Ruyan advised in a soft voice. Although she was very angry, she did not intend for Su Jie's life to be taken. However, as she spoke, not 2 meters away from her on the hanging ink painting, what was originally a landscape started to reveal a beautiful woman's figure. At first, it was just a faint speck, but then she walked closer and closer until her entire figure seemed to step out of the painting, her jade arms so fair that they put Frost to shame, reaching straight out of the painting. Eventually, her upper body also leaned forward, reaching out toward Han Ruyan. Mo Shiryao, with her back to Han Ruyan, did not notice, but Su Jie, who was facing Han Ruyan, saw it all too clearly. Hey, watch out behind you. Su Jie pressed his foot down, causing a floor tile to tilt up. He kicked it, and the tile exploded forward, striking the face of the woman emerging from the painting. The tile sunk in as if into water, without feeling the impact of a solid body. But this act disrupted the ghost's movements. The painting woman's long hair danced with the wind, her mouth curving up into a smile with a hint of eeriness. Ah! Clueless until the last moment, Han Ruyan turned around and was horrified by the sight of the woman emerging from the painting. Although she had 7th-level cultivation in the Yunling realm, she had been protected and pampered since childhood, had never experienced battle, and her practice was more like a method of physical and spiritual cultivation. Naturally, she had little response to a crisis. What ghost dares to appear? Mo Shiryao's eyes flashed. Her figure swiftly moved in front of Han Ruyan. Her mouth contained the heavenly constitution, and marvelous sound began to play effortlessly. The painting in front was torn apart, and the woman from within was separated at the waist, her upper body falling to the ground while her lower half remained within the painting. Moreover, both halves calmly began to turn right side up, creating an exceptionally eerie sight. Mo Shiryao retreated 2 steps with Han Ruyan, clasped her hands to form a spell, and chanted the mystic immortal sound. True word. 9-layered heavenly firmament tower. The mystic sound transformed, and the silhouette of a towering building flickered into existence, suppressing the painting woman from above, squashing her into a pulp. Splat. However, almost as soon as the painting woman had died, on the other side of the room, within the mirror hanging on the wall, the painting woman appeared again, stepping out from the mirror plane into reality. Crash! Mo Shiryao unleashed a blast of spiritual power, shattering the mirror, and the scattered fragments fell onto the ground. Yet an even more astonishing scene unfolded. From each mirror fragment, the figure of the painting woman emerged, stepping into reality little by little. In the room appeared hundreds of painting women, all wearing eerie smiles, looking at Su Jie, Han Ruyan, and Mo Shiryao. Especially Mo Shiryao, who had just made a move, felt as if struck by lightning when one of the painting women touched her. Her skin turned a layer of white ash, the remains of bone ash left after a corpse was burned. This layer of ash spread continuously, and Mo Shiryao's body flattened, as if compressed into 2-dimensional existence. The painting woman pressed Mo Shiryao into her body, attempting to engulf her within herself. Immortal sound seal. Mo Shiryao's hands worked non-stop casting spells, continuously summoning spiritual power, her body emanating spiritual radiance like sacred fire to resist the terrifying compressive force, slowly regaining her normal three-dimensional form. Emo Shiryao, now utterly enraged by the painting woman, continuously chanted Miao Yin, slashing the painting women into pieces with divine swords. But this action resulted in the chopped-up pieces of the painting women bloodily regenerating. A fingertip, a section of calf, each grew a new painting woman. Unless it was crushed into a powder, it was impossible to completely destroy a painting woman. What kind of principle is this ghost based on? Emo Shiryao's expression changed slightly, finding this ghost incredibly difficult to kill. Han Ruyan covered her mouth, watching as the painting woman approached her, instinctively moving to retreat. Su Jie looked around and suddenly spoke, "Miss Han, come to my side." Han Ruyan blinked her eyes, hesitated for a moment but still cautiously approached the direction where Su Jie was. Su Jie took Han Ruyan's delicate hand and quickly walked to a certain position, then stopped still. Han Ruyan's face flushed, allowing Su Jie to arrange her as he pleased. Soon, Han Ruyan was surprised to discover that the painting women suddenly stopped their approach. They seemed to completely ignore the two, turning instead to converge on Emo Shiryao. What's happening? Han Ruyan was astonished that the female ghosts were ignoring them. Su Jie smiled without speaking. These painting women only attacked humans identified by mirrors, or more precisely, any reflective surface that could show a person's shadow. The position Su Jie had chosen was one that avoided all reflective entities. While Su Jie was at ease, Emo Shiryao had to bear the attack of all the painting women. This female ghost was on a different level from the child fierce ghost encountered before, much stronger, and even with Emo Shiryao continuously employing the Miao Yin technique, she was still unable to kill them quickly enough. Keep it up. Keep trying, you can do it. Su Jie brought over a chair, sat down, and watched Emo Shiryao struggle in the intense battle as though he had no concern at all. Emo Shiryao was so angry that her chest heaved violently, glaring at Su Jie. "Miss Emo, come over to us quickly," urged Han Ruyan, waving at Emo Shiryao. TSK, Miss Emo, a noble disciple from a reputable sect, couldn't possibly be unable to deal with a mere female ghost, needing instead to hide away with the people from the martial arts world. Su Jie's mocking tone was perfectly timed, agitating Emo Shiryao's heart and immediately causing her temper to flare up. "You needn't run your mouth. I will surely show you my strength." Emo Shiryao clenched her teeth, unwilling to show weakness in front of someone from the martial arts world. "Ah, is your name Su Chongqing? I got you wrong just now. I'm really sorry." Realizing the two were sparring verbally, Han Ruyan, who had a good memory, remembered Su Jie's name even though they had met only once. "Miss Han, your Han mansion seems to be quite troubled tonight." Su Jie's gaze settled on Han Ruyan, whose tall figure, plump and slender waist, and especially her light veils that barely covered her body, revealing her soft and delicate skin in a tantalizing manner, were enchanting beyond compare. "I am quite curious. These fierce ghosts seem to have a specific purpose, and their target might just be you." Su Jie extended his finger, lifting Han Ruyan's chin, looking at her moist and alluring lips, truly a woman full of allure. "Hold on. What do you think you're doing?" Han Ruyan crossed her arms over her chest, her teeth gently biting her red lips, obviously a bit angry. Yet even with that anger, her voice was still sweet and tingling. "There's something on your body." Su Jie brushed aside the hair at the temple of Han Ruyan's forehead, then grabbed her by the shoulders, turned her around to face away from him, and pulled down a layer of light veil, speaking indifferently. "Here you've been cursed. That might be the reason why your Han mansion is so troubled." But on Han Ruyan's flawless white back, stimulated by Su Jie's spiritual power, a strange black and purple pattern began to emerge. "What?" Han Ruyan instinctively reached for her own back but felt nothing. "Hey, you little thief! Get your dirty hands off her." On the other side, seeing Su Jie's actions, Emo Shiryao was displeased. She was here fighting desperately, and he was flirting with a woman, which was intolerable. Then, Emo Shiryao took out a wooden fish with a pained expression. The wooden fish was covered in cracks and the surface was engraved with dense spell inscriptions, seemingly a part of some scripture. Thump! Emo Shiryao gently struck the wooden fish, and a profound sound as vast as the stars spread out. Wherever the ripples of the sound passed, the bodies of the painting women suddenly stiffened and then crumbled into dust, directly shattered by the vibration. One after another, the painting women turned to dust, leaving nothing behind in the room. Obviously, these painting women were not present in their true form. Su Jie looked thoughtfully at the fragments of the mirror on the ground. Perhaps the fierce ghost's real body was in the world within the mirror. Miss Han, are you all right? Emo Shiryao tenderly put away the wooden fish, now with even more cracks, then marched over, barely able to restrain herself from lashing out at Su Jie. I'm fine. Just now, young Master Su was helping me. Han Ruyan quickly held Emo Shiryao back from taking action, and then repeated Su Jie's earlier deduction. You were cursed. Emo Shiryao exclaimed in shock as she lifted the veil from Han Ruyan's back. As expected, there were the eerie traces of a spell, altogether resembling a vertical eye. The curse was invisible to Han Ruyan herself, and Emo Shiryao hadn't noticed it either. It had only revealed a hint of its mark when stimulated with spiritual power. How did you find out? Emo Shiryao couldn't help looking towards Su Jie, surprised that this guy could actually detect traces of a curse, something she hadn't even noticed. As we wander through Jianghu, we rely on caution and discretion, always equipped with some secretive methods. Su Jie smiled and did not elaborate further. His divine soul was on the verge of becoming a primordial spirit, surpassing many of the secret realm elders, which was why he could detect this hidden curse through the power of his divine soul. In this regard, Su Jie had an advantage far superior to those disciples from reputable sects. Seeing that Su Jie did not wish to speak, Emo Shiryao could only withdraw her gaze with dissatisfaction, trying to remove the curse spell. But no matter how Emo Shiryao stimulated her spiritual power, the curse spell on Han Ruyan couldn't be peeled off or removed. It's no use. I can't dispel this curse spell. Emo Shiryao had no choice but to give up and speak. I'll go find someone else to try. Maybe they have a way.
Han Ruyan instinctively looked toward Su Jie.
Looking at me is useless. If even these righteous sects have no solution, I certainly cannot do it. Su Jie shrugged and walked straight out of the room. The door to the room had been blown shut by the wind, and as Su Jie pushed the door open to step outside, his foot suddenly froze in midair. Outside the room, a thin fog had appeared out of nowhere, and within a few meters, visibility was reduced to almost zero. And when Su Jie used his divine sense to investigate, his expression changed dramatically. For Su Jie discovered that the outside was no longer the Han mansion they were accustomed to, but an entirely unfamiliar place. We've been screwed over because of you guys. Su Jie pulled his foot back and retreated inside, his face looking very unpleasant. It was fine just before. Where did this thick fog come from? Emo Shiryao also saw the situation outside the door, and this thick fog was truly abnormal. True word, Gangfeng Dragon Storm. Emo Shiryao waved her arm, and immediately, several huge tornadoes rose up, dispersing the surrounding fog and greatly clearing the view. But when they saw the environment revealed outside, Emo Shiryao's face stiffened in shock, and Han Ruyan's complexion turned pale. All they saw was that the Han mansion, with its numerous buildings, had vanished, replaced by large mounds of earth. The grave hills stood tall on the ground. In the sky, yellow paper money fluttered down, accompanied by faint, lamenting sobs carried by the night wind, sometimes distant, sometimes near, causing one's scalp to tingle. What kind of ghostly place is this? Emo Shiryao was filled with disbelief. They were just inside dealing with the painting woman, and now outside, the scene had changed beyond recognition. Such power was beyond her capabilities. Not to mention this silent change was undetected even by her, a high-ranking practitioner at the 10 levels of Yunling realm. Han Ruyan looked around uneasily at the strange environment, feeling a burning sensation on her back as if a red-hot iron was being pressed against her skin, causing her beautiful willowy eyebrows to knit together. Miss Mo, My back hurts a lot. Han Ruyan instinctively circulated the spiritual power within her body. Her heavenly spinning jade light body contained an extremely vast spiritual energy, which erupted forth, soaring up to the skies. Yet this burst of spiritual energy was different from normal, carrying a tinge of gray, exuding a chilly aura, akin to that of a ghost. It's the curse acting up. We must have been targeted. Mo Shiryao recognized the problem at a glance. This curse that had wrapped itself around her, flaring up at this particular moment, was clearly intentional. Its target, including the changes in the environment outside, was evidently Han Ruyan. Su Jie stepped back a few paces, closed the door again, and walked back to Han Ruyan's side. Without a word, Su Jie slapped his palm onto the jade back of Fu O, covering the eye-shaped rune. Watching Su Jie's action, Mo Shiryao did not try to stop him because she could tell that Su Jie was trying to halt the onset of the curse. And Su Jie's method was simple. Use his formidable divine soul power to forcefully suppress the curse's imprint. His divine soul was exceptionally powerful, and he was just one step away from transforming into a primordial spirit. As a result, the effect was significant, and soon Han Ruyan felt the burning sensation on her back gradually fade away. Thank you, young Master Su. I had misunderstood you earlier, thinking you wanted to take advantage of me.
I'm truly sorry.
After recovering, Han Ruyan repeatedly expressed her gratitude to Su Jie. It's fine, your body is indeed beautiful. Su Jie shrugged his shoulders, instantly causing Han Ruyan's face to turn beet red. She quickly pulled up her lightweight silk garment to cover her fragrant and pure jade back. Mo Shiryao paid no attention to what was happening on this side because at that moment, sounds were approaching from outside the house. It seemed to be the sound of the procession's musical instruments. Suona horns, bronze gongs, clappers, drums, and flutes. Who? The closed door was blown open, and a procession composed of paper figures, moving with fluttering steps, marched straight toward the house. These paper figures were crafted from white paper with ink-dotted eyes, noses, and mouths, and heavy rouge on both cheeks. They looked strikingly lifelike, but due to the uncanny valley effect, the more they resembled humans, the more terrifying they appeared. Among these paper figures was a large red flower sedan chair, also made of paper, decked with silk and other woven fabrics, embroidered with patterns of goldfish frolicking among lotuses, a vermilion phoenix greeting the sun, a qilin bringing offspring, peonies symbolizing wealth, and wishes of good fortune. The embroidery was exceptionally fine and vivid, bright and eye-catching. With music and fanfare, these paper figures held up signs with the characters for welcoming the bride and double happiness, clearing the path as they went. As the flower sedan chair came to a stop in front of the house, the paper figures ceased their celebratory music and shouted in unison. The auspicious time has arrived. Please, bride, enter the sedan. No sooner had their call ended, the paper figures all turned to look at Han Ruyan, scaring the maiden witless. It became blatantly obvious that the bride referred to by these paper figures was none other than the Han family's young lady. Who dares to play tricks like this? Come out! Mo Shiryao was furious. After all, she was a high disciple of Miaoyin Temple, and was not intimidated by the scene. While speaking, Mo Shiryao chanted the heavenly sounds and flicked her finger. True word Miaoyin, 10,000 blade formation. Row upon row of sharp blades sprouted from the ground, swarming upward rapidly, piercing the paper figures through and through, leaving them hanging in midair like skewered kebabs. Is it necessary to be so rash? Su Jie had a headache, as Mo Shiryao's actions had triggered a certain kind of stress response. One by one, the impaled paper figures caught on fire. The flames not only reduced them to ash, but also destroyed the blades, causing them to dissolve into spiritual energy and scatter. Insolent youths, daring to interfere with my good work. Just then, a hoarse male voice came from the sky. Following that, a middle-aged man wearing a black robe embroidered with black othershore flowers descended from above. The spiritual energy emanating from his body immediately informed Su Jie, and the others that he was a cultivator from the secret realm. Who's there? Mo Shiryao faced the situation as if she were encountering a formidable enemy. As soon as she saw the other party's flying ability descending from the sky, along with the robust spiritual power emanating from their body, she realized she was up against a tough opponent. Such a demon cultivator from the secret realm was not someone she could handle. Han Ruyin turned pale with shock, her jade hands gripping her fists so tightly that her knuckles had turned white from the tension. Elder of the Heavenly Soul Sect, Zhong Shiguan. Zhong Shiguan revealed his identity, his gaze passing over Mo Shiryao as if she were not worth mentioning, and looking intently at Han Ruyin. A chilling smile appeared on his face. Come on, my betrothed bride. What are you waiting for? To acquire you and your heavenly spinning jade light body. To make you feel my intense affection. I have been always restraining myself. If it weren't for these cultivators coming to meddle, I had planned to marry you in 5 days, but you've ruined my plans. Heavenly spinning jade light body. Su Jie looked at Han Ruyin with surprise and suspicion. He had no idea this woman possessed such a physique. So all those bizarre deaths in the Han mansion were your doing. Mo Shiryao understood, feeling a surge of nervousness herself. The name of the Heavenly Soul Sect seemed somewhat familiar to her. Our Han family has no grudges with you. Why would you harm us? Han Ruyin mustered her courage and shouted at Zhong Shiguan. Hee, ha ha ha. Zhong Shiguan laughed uproariously, his laughter tinged with madness as he gazed fervently at Han Ruyin. Why, TSK, do you really not know about your own constitution? The heavenly spinning jade light body is not only excellent material for cultivation, but also the best material for nurturing ghost entities. The heavenly spinning jade light body is said to command the respect of the 3 realms and dominate all spirits, and by spirit, it's not referring to spiritual beasts, but spirit bodies. You were born a sovereign among ghost entities. Come here, come to me, and I will nurture you into the strongest of ghost entities, a 9th grade fierce ghost, and perhaps even higher realms. While saying this, Zhong Shiguan extended his hand, and his arm eerily lengthened, reaching straight for Han Ruyin. Ah! Han Ruyin retreated until she bumped into Su Jie. Mo Shiryao bit her lip fiercely, glanced at Su Jie, and then at Han Ruyin before suddenly saying, My master is Si Shining. If you don't let us go, Miaoyin Temple will surely strike back with full force in the future. So what if they will? Do you think you'll still be alive to get out? Dead people can't bear tidings. Zhong Shiguan appeared confident that no one would be able to leave this place. Immortal sound. Annihilate. Seeing no point in further dialogue, Mo Shiryao's gaze hardened, and she took out her wooden fish, striking it methodically, and a stream of profound immortal sounds resonated. A top-grade magical artifact, but it's damaged. How much power can you really exhibit with it? Zhong Shiguan said this but still withdrew his arm. The ripples of the immortal sound spread out from Mo Shiryao's instrument, and the moment his arm came into contact with them, it was eroded to smithereens. Just as the immortal sound ripples were about to touch Zhong Shiguan's body, a woman appeared in front of him. The woman was dressed in a white skirt, pale-skinned, standing quietly in front of Zhong Shiguan. This woman's appearance was exactly the same as the painting woman's from earlier in the house. She must be the real body of the painting woman. The immortal sound surged forth, aiming at the painting woman. The surface of this fierce ghost displayed porcelain-like cracks, but she was unfazed. Her skin transformed into a series of reflective mirrors, which rebounded the ripples of the immortal sound back. This is a 5th-grade fierce ghost, my most outstanding work to date. Of course, she won't be for long. With a light chuckle, Zhong Shiguan conjured the 10,000 soul banner in his hand. Tens of thousands of Yin souls howled out, swarming towards Mo Shiryao and battering her relentlessly. Meanwhile, the painting woman's gaze shifted to Mo Shiryao, and her palm morphed into a small round mirror. Within it, Mo Shiryao's reflection appeared. The next moment, Mo Shiryao's figure blurred, as if erased by an eraser, and vanished into thin air, reappearing within the round mirror held by the painting woman. It was evident that Mo Shiryao was frantically attacking and struggling inside, trying to escape. She can be trapped for a quarter of an hour. With no hint of emotion, the painting woman held up the round mirror and stated a time frame for imprisoning Mo Shiryao. Enjoy yourself in the world within the mirror for now. I'll deal with you when I'm free. As Zhong Shiguan spoke, he began to approach Han Rian step by step. Young Master Su. Biting her lip, Han Rian seemed to have made some resolute decision. I am willing to go with you, but you have to release Miss Mo and young Master Su. You have no right to negotiate terms with me. Zhong Shiguan's eyes held a disdainful light as he raised his index finger towards Su Jie. Let's dispose of the nuisance first. Thousands of Yin souls howled towards Su Jie, ready to devour him into nothingness. Su Jie also looked up, facing those Yin souls, and suddenly spoke. As an elder of the Heavenly Soul Sect, the number of your Yin souls isn't that impressive, is it? A 10,000 soul banner identical to Zhong Shiguan's materialized in Su Jie's hand as tens of thousands of Yin souls burst out from the banner, clashing and slaughtering the opposing Yin souls head-on. For a while, the sky was filled with translucent Yin souls entwining and weaving through each other. The 10,000 soul banner. Zhong Shiguan's pupils slightly contracted, caught off guard by Su Jie's move. Even Han Rian gaped in disbelief at Su Jie, not understanding how he, seemingly a figure from the martial arts world, possessed a ghost banner akin to that of a demon cultivator. Looks like I have the greater number of Yin souls. With a wave of his left hand, the silhouette of the thousand-handed centipede emerged from Su Jie's sleeve, transforming into an 80-meter-long horrific poisonous insect. A technique from Ghost Ridge Palace, so you're a demon cultivator too. What, are you after the heavenly spinning jade light body as well? This is my prey. If you dare to vie for it, you're asking for death. Zhong Shiguan's face turned cold instantly upon seeing a fellow path cross his, misunderstanding Su Jie's intent. Awaken, my 100 ghosts. Zhong Shiguan clapped his hands, and upon his summons, giant graves outside cracked open, as eerie figures emerged one after another. Among them was a female ghost dressed in white garments, with a beautiful face, long hair black as ink, her dead, dull eyes reflecting pain and hatred, and she radiated a chill and ominous presence. There were sounds of heavy, labored breathing that grew more intense. A meager, emaciated body dragged a beheading blade stained with patches of blood. The whole body exuded a foul stench, that of the evil blade ghost. There were also large figures with terrifying visages, sporting crimson faces, sharp and tough claws, and eyes like ghostly flames that sent shivers down one's spine, occasionally letting out sharp laughter and chilling roars. There were over 100 fierce ghosts, all cultivated by Zhong Shiguan, with grades ranging from first to fourth. They were weaker than the painting woman, but they were terrifyingly strong in number and combat power. Competing in numbers? Su Jie slapped his insect control bag on his waist, and countless human-faced moths, numbering in the hundreds of thousands, fluttered out, obscuring the sky dome like dark clouds. Darling, please turn around and kill. A flash of white light shone from the sword nourishing gourd, and the white-boned sky-slaying sword charged directly at Zhong Shiguan's face, followed by hundreds of flying swords. The painting woman, expressionless, blocked in front of Zhong Shiguan. Mirror after mirror, as tall as a person, stood all around, flying forward like shields, reflecting and bouncing all the flying swords. Devour him! With a cold press of his arm, Su Jie commanded the human-faced moth swarm that howled through the air, frenziedly devouring everything, be it mirrors, the painting woman, or those fierce ghosts. Everything was on their menu. How dare you! Rage contorted Zhong Shiguan's face as ghost after ghost began charging towards Su Jie. An evil ghost, with sharp fangs and a body twisted like a gecko, crawled on all fours, rapidly approaching Su Jie under the relentless attacks of countless human-faced moths. The thousand-handed centipede writhed its body, a pale corpse hand smashing down, instantly flattening the evil ghost into a pulp. Sizzle. The cheekbones of the skull cracked open, emitting beams of purple light rays, evaporating many ghosts before they could even get close. There were also ethereal ghosts that shifted between reality and illusion. Facing such ghosts, Su Jie unleashed a purple cloud heavenly thunder directly. Divine skills, derived from the power of the divine soul, were especially effective against these spirit-bodied ghosts, turning many into ashes with the heavenly thunder. Many ghosts of first and second grade didn't even have the ability to join the fight, as they were struck dead by heavenly thunder, devoured by the insect cloud, or evaporated by the rays, unable to get within 100 meters of Su Jie. A massive fourth-grade evil ghost, 10 feet tall with a green face and sharp teeth, and magma flowing from cracked skin, charged at Su Jie. The human-faced moths that got too close were scorched by the lava, and the purple light rays seemed almost immune, as it rushed furiously towards Su Jie. Seeing this, Su Jie raised his finger and lightly tapped. A cloud of darkness formed by the Death Decline Curse cloud engulfed the evil ghost. The terrifying curse erupted, causing the ghost's body to continuously dissolve and decay, a curse that even ghosts couldn't withstand. With a slight movement of his eyes, 2 purple light rays shot out, instantly hitting Zhong Shiguan. Zhong Shiguan's body flickered ethereally, and the purple light rays passed directly through him. Crack! On Su Jie's chest, a disheveled female ghost had somehow clung there, her cold and eerie gaze fixed intently on Su Jie. The gigantic body of the thousand-handed centipede was just about to move when the painting woman suddenly appeared in front of it. Her calm eyes met the cold insect eyes, and with a flash of her body, she attempted to drag the thousand-handed centipede into the mirror world within her. The thousand-handed centipede, massive and only partially blurred, clearly exceeded the painting woman's capacity to contain. She simply couldn't trap the giant creature. The thousand-handed centipede opened its gaping maw, beginning to devour the painting woman, swallowing her in one gulp. The painting woman vanished, only to walk out again from a standing mirror. Puff! Seeing this, the thousand-handed centipede spit out a deathly curse cloud. The painting woman was hit, her skin instantly becoming wrinkled, and each mirror surface began showing signs of age spots simultaneously. A curse that can't be avoided no matter how its physical location changes. The woman in the painting doubled over in a violent cough, emitting a hoarse, old woman-like voice, severely affected by the Death Decline Curse cloud. The thousand-hand centipede seized the victory, chasing after her with a ferocious momentum. In the critical moment, a woman from the painting emerged from each mirror, one of them appearing above the thousand-hand centipede's head, her round mirror directed at the centipede. Layers of bone ash fell, compressing the body of the centipede. However, the thousand-hand centipede shook its body, easily resisting that compressive force. Conversely, countless pale corpse hands detached from its body, not only crushing the woman from the painting but also chasing after the other women in the paintings. In a head-on clash, this fifth-grade female ghost clearly could not hold her own against the thousand-hand centipede of mid-grade 5 refinement. Instead, she was being chased by the centipede. Han Ruyan's eyes darted around, witnessing these demon cultivators' combat techniques for the first time. In the sky, souls entangled in battle, an insect cloud devoured everything, hundreds of flying swords crisscrossed. One fierce ghost after another descended weirdly. Giant insects shook the heavens and earth, and the woman in the painting changed unpredictably. Seeing all this, she looked in Su Jie's direction, where several fierce ghosts had already pounced on him, making her hold her breath in anxiety. Although the insects are powerful, my fierce ghosts are even stranger. The voice of Zhong Shiguan came eerily. In front of Su Jie, a female ghost's hand pierced through his chest, tearing open his muscles. On his back, a child ghost clung, gnawing away at Su Jie's flesh. Beneath his feet, the ground turned into a frying pan, deep-frying both of Su Jie's legs. A ghost stood in place, twisting its own head off. Su Jie's neck also twisted as if trying to break his own neck. Another ghost displayed a creepy smile, and uncontrollably, Su Jie's face started to mimic the grin, his heartbeat slowing down as if about to stop completely. The actions of these ghosts rapidly deteriorated Su Jie's body. Zhong Shiguan walked step by step towards Han Ruyan, passing by Su Jie and chuckling. Being able to struggle up to now already shows your strength. Did you really think you could reverse the realms from Yunling to Secret Realm? Young Master Su, be careful. Han Ruyan had momentarily forgotten her own safety, perhaps aware that once Su Jie died, she too would inevitably meet her death. Unfortunately, you're going to be disappointed. I really want to see if I can challenge the Secret Realm myself. The smile on Su Jie's lips subsided. His neck returned to normal, and the flesh that had been torn, gnawed, and fried began to repair as pale arms emerged, crushing and entangling the nearby ghosts. Zhong Shiguan was shocked. How are you unaffected? You think you can use those little ghosts to affect the divine soul of someone who is about to achieve the primordial spirit? What a joke. I was just playing along with your act. Su Jie's lips curved into a savage, bloodthirsty smile. His divine soul burst out of his body in a flash, leaving his flesh enveloped by densely packed corpse hands forming a huge sphere several meters tall, making all external attacks unable to reach his true self within. Primordial Spirit Soul. Seeing Su Jie's divine soul, complete except for the eyes which remained unenlightened, Zhong Shiguan was terrified. Su Jie's divine soul erupted with blinding lightning, diving into Zhong Shiguan's body. Zhong Shiguan's body turned ethereal, but this time it was not a physical attack but an attack of the spirit body, rendering his move futile. His illusionary body screamed miserably, exploded by the thunder into flesh and blood. Su Jie's divine soul broke into Zhong Shiguan's sea of consciousness, causing him to tremble slightly. Once his soul was occupied or erased by Su Jie, his consciousness would vanish, leaving behind nothing but an empty shell of a body. Su Jie's divine soul broke into Zhong Shiguan's flesh, and the two divine souls began to make contact. In an instant, Su Jie only felt a brightness before his eyes and found himself in a world filled with black seawater. There were no sun, moon, stars, or seasons here, just the icy seawater with no waves to be seen, its depth unknown. This was the Sea of Consciousness of mankind, also known as the Sea of Souls, where the soul resides and is nurtured. Within the Sea of Consciousness, Su Jie saw Zhong Shiguan's divine soul, one with legs and arms, but with blank features where its face should be. Compared to Su Jie, although Zhong Shiguan was of the secret realm, his divine soul cultivation lagged behind Su Jie's by a significant level. Get out of my body! Zhong Shiguan shouted angrily. Within the Sea of Consciousness, his divine soul stretched into a long arc, like a crescent moon scimitar, and swung down at Su Jie's head. Underneath the blade's edge, the Sea of Consciousness roiled like overturned seas. This was his flesh after all, his home ground where his divine soul could exert greater might, instinctively repelling the approach of Su Jie's foreign divine soul, much like a body's rejection response. Your divine soul is far too weak. Su Jie's lips curled into a cold arc. Divine thunder surged within his divine soul, with countless thick bolts of purple cloud heavenly thunder rampaging brutally, striking down Zhong Shiguan's divine soul, blasting it into an unrecognizable form, riddling the blade with cracks. Su Jie's divine soul was not only on the verge of transforming into the primordial spirit, but he also possessed divine skills like the purple cloud heavenly thunder within his divine soul. His combat strength was simply too strong for Zhong Shiguan to contend with. How can a Yunling realm have such a strong divine soul? Zhong Shiguan retreated repeatedly and then gritted his teeth fiercely. Within the Sea of Consciousness, a sinister female figure appeared. Clad in a white dress with a pale and delicate face, it was the Painting Woman, the fifth-grade fierce ghost. Turns out Zhong Shiguan, knowing he was no match, had summoned the Painting Woman into the Sea of Consciousness to help in the fight, akin to a ghost possession. Even with a female ghost, it's useless. Su Jie formed seals with his hands, and thunder condensed, turning into a thunder spear in his right hand. As Su Jie pointed with the tip of the spear, myriad bolts of thunder struck down, illuminating the entire Sea of Consciousness. The Painting Woman's body was pierced through by bolts of thunder. The domineering heavenly thunder, lethal to the divine soul, even as the Painting Woman withstood it, Her body sustained serious damage, flickering like a short-circuited bulb, her form blurring and distorting uncontrollably. Mirror! The painting woman's body flattened and widened, transforming into an antique vanity with a brass mirror on top, reflecting the image of Su Jie. An eerie, chilling force transferred through, and as Su Jie looked down, he saw legions of painting women emerging below his legs, clutching tightly at him and dragging him towards the mirror, pulling half of Su Jie's body into the mirror world. Child's play. You dare flaunt inferior skills at my door. The thunder spear spun and pierced directly into the copper mirror. Countless bolts of thunder erupted from the spear, forming a column of thunder that connected the dome of the sky with the sea of consciousness. Above, it punctured through the sea of souls. Below, it evaporated countless black seas, lighting up the entire sea of consciousness. Crack! The legion of painting women directly disintegrated under the thunder, and the vanity showed signs of electrical scorching. But Su Jie's divine soul, too, showed many colorful cracks. Under the assault of the copper mirror, enduring the damage to his divine soul, he let out a loud cry.
Thunder. Come.
The thunderous trembling sound of thunder echoed throughout the land. Above the sky dome, rows of thunder dragons roamed, tearing apart the sea of consciousness. Zhong Shiguan fled in madness, but within the sea of consciousness, where could he possibly escape? Pierced by falling bolts of thunder, his entire divine soul shrank by more than half, his cries of agony unceasing. Facing Su Jie's dominance, all that remained for Zhong Shiguan was terror. His divine soul plunged into the painting woman's mirror, then vanished within the sea of consciousness. Outside, while Su Jie and Zhong Shiguan were battling, changes had already taken place outside. Attacked by one fierce ghost after another, Su Jie's physical body was under constant assault. Souls fought and perished in the sky, and the thousand-hand centipede protected the vicinity of Su Jie's body, but still ghosts broke through the blockade. Many of the ghosts' abilities were extremely strange, and with Su Jie's body lacking a divine soul, it was nothing more than a target, only capable of taking hits without any means of resistance. Many wounds of various sizes appeared on Su Jie's body. On the other side, Zhong Shiguan's body trembled like a sieve, but suddenly, the shaking stopped, and a remnant soul was taken out by the painting woman. Don't think of escaping. It was at this moment that Zhong Shiguan suddenly opened his eyes, but the tone of his speech was distinctly Su Jie's. It turned out Su Jie had occupied his sea of consciousness and his divine soul had seized control of this physical body. As Su Jie attempted to pursue, Zhong Shiguan's figure had already vanished from sight. With the help of the painting woman, his speed of escape was extraordinarily fast. In the blink of an eye, Zhong Shiguan appeared before a grave mound, swiftly rolling up a pair of scrolls. This was a black and white scroll, and the pattern drawn inside was precisely the mountainous terrain of the grave mounds they were in. As the scroll was rolled up, the surroundings began to turn topsy-turvy, with space changing and gradually reverting to the original scene of Han Mansion. It was apparent that Zhong Shiguan's scroll was no trivial object. Seeing the changes in the scenery around him, Su Jie had no choice but to withdraw his flying sword, human-faced moth, and the thousand-hand centipede. This battle had cost Su Jie dearly. His flying sword, soul, and human-faced moth all incurred significant damage. Su Jie's own physical body and divine soul had also been seriously injured. While the wounds on the body could heal easily, the damaged divine soul would take several days to recover. Although he defeated Zhong Shiguan, this was far from a great victory for Su Jie. We're back. Behind him came Han Ruyan's surprised voice. Su Jie turned around to see the girl holding Mo Shiyao, both shocked and overjoyed. Just as Su Jie looked their way, Han Ruyan abruptly stopped talking and cautiously asked, "Are you young Master Su?" "I am Zhong Shiguan. Become my bride," he said. A sinister smile appeared on Su Jie's face, scaring Han Ruyan into taking 2 steps back. "You're lying, you're clearly young Master Su." However, Han Ruyan quickly came to her senses, recognizing the tone of voice as that of the young Master Su she knew. I am a demon cultivator. Aren't you afraid of me? Young Master Su, you didn't come here for me, did you? If you wanted to harm me, you wouldn't have saved me just now. Save you? I was only looking out for myself. Su Jie raised his hands and grasped firmly around his neck, twisting his head off his shoulders. The next moment, Su Jie's divine soul darted out, flying back into his own body. Sigh, my own body is more comfortable after all. Others' bodies always feel rejected. Su Jie twisted his neck, uttering this lament. Although his divine soul had usurped Zhong Shiguan's body, that body was not his own, and it didn't match his divine soul, making it as awkward and stiff as a rusted, oil-starved machine. Forget using it for battle and cultivation. Even everyday life was difficult to manage. Young Master Su, your name must not truly be that, is it? Ghost Ridge Palace. The demon cultivation sect in the north that's currently embroiled in war. Han Ruyan felt slightly unwell witnessing the scene before her. The method of seizing another's body was indeed characteristic of a demon cultivator. She had also heard legends about Ghost Ridge Palace. This demon sect was quite famous in Qingzhou, especially with the recent battles at Golden Sand River and the ongoing sect wars. If Qingzhou had a popularity ranking, then the name Ghost Ridge Palace would certainly be on the list. My name is not for you to inquire about if it is unnecessary. The injuries on Su Jie's body were healing at a rapid pace, with new flesh sprouting and torn skin knitting itself back together smoothly. The regenerative power inherited from the thousand-hand centipede was taking effect, once more agitating Han Ruyan's senses. Speaking of which, the heavenly spinning jade light body. If I were to take you back to Ghost Ridge Palace, there ought to be a sizable reward, right? Su Jie lifted Han Ruyan's chin, clicking his tongue. Han Ruyan's body tensed up. She was alone and without support. Even Mo Shiryao had fainted from exhaustion. If Su Jie insisted on taking her away, she truly had no means to resist. Despite possessing substantial spiritual power and being at the Yunling Realm's 7th level, she had no combat experience and knew she was no match for Su Jie. For the life-saving grace of young Master Su, I have no way to repay you. If there's anything I can assist you with in the future, I definitely will help you. Han Ruyan gritted her teeth, unsure of what else to say. As it happens, I need you to keep tonight's events secret for me. Don't reveal that I am a demon cultivator. Can you manage that? Su Jie was waiting for just this. Faced with Zhong Shiguan earlier, Han Ruyan had displayed commendable character, leading Su Jie to believe he could try to trust her. He planned to continue disguising his identity. I promise you. Without a second thought, Han Ruyan agreed immediately. She didn't know why Su Jie had come to Han Mansion, but he had indeed saved her life, making this request seem all too simple. It's a deal. Su Jie extended his hand. It's a deal. Han Ruyan slapped palms with Su Jie, sighing with relief inwardly. Su Jie saw Mo Shiryao's eyelashes flutter, signaling she was about to wake up, so he promptly stopped talking. What happened to me? Outside in the courtyard, the maid Su Jie had knocked unconscious earlier was groggily coming to. My head hurts so much. Mo Shiryao also awoke at the same time. Ah, miss. The maid was somewhat dazed, looking at her mistress dressed in a sheer gown with great confusion. Little butterfly, go find my father and the others. After changing her clothes and returning to the room, Han Ruyan soon saw the maid return, accompanied by a bustling group of people. Ruyan, how are you doing? Han Jinghuan was visibly anxious. Father, I'm fine. It was young Master Su who saved me. Han Ruyan shook her head and answered with poise. Which young Master Su? Han Jinghuan was puzzled, with no recollection of him. Su Chongqing, the able man you recruited today, father. Han Ruyan's gaze moved towards Su Jie, who had been ignored up until then but now suddenly became the focus of everyone's attention. A person from the martial arts world. Yu Wenjing and the rest of the righteous disciples looked on, deeply perplexed. Han Ruyan briefly explained the situation, of course, keeping it succinct and focusing mostly on events that occurred before the encounter with Zhong Shiguan. Upon hearing this, Han Jinghuan quickly stepped forward, gratefully grabbing Su Jie's hand. Hero Su, I indeed did not misjudge you. Thank you for rescuing my daughter in a critical moment and for discovering the curse on her. I truly am. You must accept these 10,000 taels of silver no matter what. Han Jinghuan was immensely thankful to Su Jie. He only had this one daughter, and the thought of a parent burying their own child was a hit he could not withstand. 2 chests of silver were brought to the side, the bright silver stimulating to many people's eyes. Young Master Su, thank you. Han Ruyan spoke again, finding Su Jie still making faces at her, feeling an inexplicable thrill like that of a naughty child telling lies. It's a minor matter since I have come across this. I would not ignore it, but Uncle Han, you should take more care of your daughter about how to solve the curse on her. Su Jie didn't stand on ceremony, although he didn't lack this bit of silver, but he still needed to maintain his disguise. Yes, I will trouble the young heroes then. Han Jinghuan's pleading gaze turned to the others. It is what we ought to do. Yu Wenjing, Xiao Guanglian, and others all clasped their hands in agreement. At that moment, Mo Shiyao, supporting her frail body, said to Han Ruyan, Miss Han, when I was trapped in the body of the female ghost, you need to tell everything you saw, leaving nothing out. After you were trapped, that Zhong Shiguan suddenly felt ill, as if trapping you had consumed much of his strength, leading to the barrier breaking, probably afraid that fighting would cause a disturbance, attracting Lord Yuan and the others for an encirclement, so he hurriedly fled. Su Jie stepped forward before Han Ruyan could reply, answering for her. Han Ruyan bit her red lips and nodded. Yes, that's exactly it. I see, it seems that the Hidden Realm Elder is a charlatan, or perhaps he only recently advanced. Mo Shiyao's spirit lifted, suddenly feeling confident. Her voice became much louder and clearer. Su Jie couldn't help but cast a sidelong glance, thinking to himself that the charlatan trapped by the painting woman was actually you. Next, Mo Shiyao began to examine the curse on Han Ruyan's back. The others also came forward, but out of propriety, they used the method of pulse diagnosis to sense the curse. After a final attempt, although they could not remove the curse, they managed to suppress it, preventing it from causing trouble. Oh! When everything had settled down, Su Jie also regrouped with Xiao Fengyuan and Ning Xinyue in the guest room. Brother Su, what's the situation? Xiao Fengyuan had been waiting for the signal to fight and was puzzled. Qi Shijian wasn't there. Su Jie shook his head, for it had been an excellent opportunity. What a pity! Ning Xinyue glanced over, poking Su Jie's arm and said, What were you doing in there for so long? Someone tried to use a beauty trap on me, but my will is firm, and I made them lose their wife and soldiers. Su Jie told a blatant lie, eliciting an eye roll from Ning Xinyue. Keep bragging. You clearly haven't done anything good. No sooner had Ning Xinyue finished speaking than she saw Su Jie take out a corpse. Who is this?
A Heavenly Soul Sect Elder, Zhong Shiguan.
Su Jie briefly recounted his experiences at Han Ruyan's place. After listening, Xiao Fengyuan was astonished. What? Such a thing happened, and I didn't sense anything at all. Besides being shocked, Xiao Fengyuan was even more astounded by Su Jie's combat abilities, capable of defeating a Hidden Realm Elder head-on. That scroll must be an extraordinary treasure. Ning Xinyue's eyes brightened. They were so close and yet couldn't sense it, which showed how potent the scroll was. It must contain a world of its own. Pity he got away with it, but we still need to continue our mission. Let's keep a close watch on Han Mansion. As soon as Qi Shijian leaves, we'll follow him immediately. Su Jie put forward his suggestion, determined to capture Qi Shijian. The group discussed their plans in the room for a while longer before they left. Su Jie then began inspecting the spoils of war left by Zhong Shiguan. In his haste to escape, Zhong Shiguan hadn't even managed to take his storage bag. The storage bag contained a significant amount of spirit stones and various materials, totaling a value of 70,000. Su Jie did not know if among the elders, Zhong Shiguan was considered wealthy or poor. This was his first time looting spoils from an elder. Su Jie figured the man must have been quite poor since he didn't see him use any formidable magic artifacts in combat. The scroll aside. In addition to these items, Su Jie also saw quite a few primordial spirit pearls, which are beads that absorb fear. Next to the primordial spirit pearls, Su Jie found several coffins. Upon opening them, inside were some half-completed fierce ghosts. This is... Suddenly, Su Jie unexpectedly discovered a booklet titled 9 Nether Ghost Cultivation Technique, inscribed in large characters. After flipping through it, Su Jie quickly understood that it was a magic skill that taught one how to cultivate and control fierce ghosts, similar to how Ghost Ridge Palace was proficient in rearing poisonous insects, and Heavenly Soul Sect in nurturing ghosts and souls. The cultivation technique was not difficult to learn. Su Jie, with his current cultivation aptitude, was no longer the poor student of the past, but rather the possessor of the purple cloud thunder body. Several hours later, Su Jie looked towards the coffins in the room, bit his fingertip, and dropped his fresh blood onto several half-completed fierce ghosts that were not yet fully nurtured. Out of the 3 coffins and 3 fierce ghosts, the bodies of 2 fierce ghosts trembled, yet they did not open their eyes, unable to truly awaken. Only one, standing 2 meters tall yet ghastly thin, opened its eyes and walked out of the coffin. This fierce ghost's body was entwined in iron chains, its eyes profoundly deep, and its hands so long they nearly touched the ground, with nails black and sharp. As it moved, the iron chains collided and rubbed against each other, emitting a chilling, oppressive aura. A first-grade fierce ghost. Su Jie stroked his chin, examining the fierce ghost before him. Fierce ghosts are classified from 1st grade to 9th grade, with 1st grade being the weakest and 9th grade the strongest, like the painting woman from Zhong Shiguan's case, which was a 5th grade fierce ghost. Fierce ghost is a general term. They often are souls bearing grievances who died unjustly, their resentments fueled by special surrounding conditions, ultimately forming into a product of negative energy. Usually, wild fierce ghosts won't necessarily kill humans. They possess a certain killing mechanism that once triggered leads to an attack. Conversely, if lucky not to have triggered it, one could potentially be unharmed. However, fierce ghosts under the control of a demon cultivator are different. Even without triggering the killing mechanism, one would still be attacked. But wild fierce ghosts are rare, given the stringent conditions for their formation, whereas Heavenly Soul Sect authored this 9 Nether Ghost Cultivation Technique, specifically for this purpose. In the 9 Nether Ghost Cultivation Technique, it discusses how to cultivate such fierce ghosts. Besides capturing and seeking wild fierce ghosts, it can also be artificially created, though the process is utterly bloody and brutal. For instance, one of the sections describes taking a pregnant woman carrying twins and, at the time of delivery, sealing her entire body with black glue, placing her into a clay pot, and burying it 3 and 9 feet deep in a shaded land. Day and night, reciting scriptures with soul incense on an altar. After 15 days, a type of fierce ghost called the child and mother ghost can be cultivated. Beyond the initial level, a fierce ghost's grade can also be cultivated to increase. Fierce ghosts require the emotion of fear to advance. The more intense the fear, the greater the aid it provides to the fierce ghost. Thus, originally in Nanyang City, Heavenly Soul Sect trapped the city without killing much, precisely to continuously harvest fear to cultivate fierce ghosts. Compared to poisonous insects, the methods of fierce ghosts are even more mysteriously unpredictable, such as walking through walls, teleporting, and casting curses, which for fierce ghosts are basic operations. Go, let me see your capabilities. Su Jie crooked his finger, and the iron chain ghost before him slowly walked to the windowsill and opened the window. Under Su Jie's divine sense perception, less than 2 kilometers from here, a few drunken soldiers were beating a beggar sleeping on a street corner, occasionally bursting into loud laughter. It was already deep into the night, and there were virtually no pedestrians on the street. The iron chain ghost leaped down and walked slowly on the street. Heavy iron chains hung to the ground, dragging along the bluestone pavement and leaving 2 long traces behind. With each step it took, the iron chain ghost would appear tens of meters away. It did not walk in a regular manner. Within just a minute, it had reached those soldiers. What's that noise? One soldier, hearing the raspy whisper and the sound of chain friction, looked up from the beating, only to see a tall, thin figure standing in front with rusty chains coiled around it. On a twisted face, narrow and cold eyes shone with a sinister light in the darkness, piercing through to the marrow as if freezing the soul itself. In the darkness, when that soldier and the iron chain ghost made eye contact, it instantly triggered its killing mechanism, and several chains bizarrely sprouted from the ground, swiftly entwining the soldier and lifting him into the air. The chains squeezed tighter around him, working like a meat grinder. Flesh and blood burst from between the chains, scattering his body in all directions like the heavenly maiden scattering flowers, turning him into a ground of flesh, splattering over a dozen meters around. A ghost! It's a ghost! Several soldiers were terrified out of their wits. Some were so scared they lost control of their bladder and bowels. Some went weak in the legs and collapsed on the spot without any strength left. Some opened their mouths wide but could not make a sound, and some turned and fled immediately. The iron chain ghost's eyes blinked, and with one step, it bizarrely appeared in front of the fleeing soldiers. This soldier could not dodge in time and slammed right into the iron chain ghost. The next moment, the iron chain ghost placed its nearly ground-touching long arms on the shoulders of this soldier. The soldier stiffened on the spot, chains broke through his skin, coiling from inside out, wrapping his body into an iron chain statue. This is the ghost coming to claim my life for what happened with Susan. I truly was confused then. I didn't mean to kill her. I'm willing to pay and repent. Don't kill me. Please spare my life. I will never dare to do it again. We're all going to die here. Might as well fight him. These soldiers cut a pitiful figure, not that no one tried to resist, but their swords hacked at the iron chain ghost only splintered sparks and slid into the chain gaps like stabbing into straw, not the usual sense of flesh and blood. Before these soldiers could run away, chains from the iron chain ghost flew out in all directions, instantly wrapping around these soldiers and pulling them in front of it, binding them together with its own chains. The chains continued to tighten, and the painful screams of these soldiers could be heard, their struggles slowly fading. Under the wide-eyed and trembling gaze of that old beggar, the iron chain ghost ignored him, slowly turning around and walking down the street, leaving a trail of blood dribbling with each step. In the end, there was no trace of the few soldiers left, only chains stained red, and some hair, skin, and bones mixed amongst the chains, hanging like decorations, exceptionally horrifying and chilling. Su Jie had been observing with his divine sense. The power of the iron chain ghost was nothing extraordinary among cultivators. A cultivator of the 3rd or 4th level of the Yunling realm was enough to contend with it. But for ordinary people, even a first-grade fierce ghost was almost an unsolvable existence. The ability isn't bad, if the level of the fierce ghost could be raised. An idea slowly formed in Su Jie's mind. Su Jie stayed comfortably at Han Mansion. He often took the opportunity to look for opportunities with Xiao Fengyuan and Ning Xinyue. However, Qi Shijian was indeed an expert sycophant, almost never leaving Mo Shiyao's side. Especially after Mo Shiyao had been injured, he was constantly circling around her. As Qingzhou's foremost beauty, Mo Shiyao always had numerous suitors. Many righteous disciples often followed her, which left Su Jie without any chance. Su Jie could only wait patiently for an opportunity, temporarily residing in Han Mansion. Since that night, Han Mansion had not witnessed any more deaths, and everything was changing for the better. In the blink of an eye, several days passed, and Han Mansion became increasingly festive, decorated with red everywhere, because the date for Han Ruyan to marry the Nanjing king was approaching. Inside the bridal chamber, Han Ruyan sat in front of a mirror. Several maids responsible for her makeup and attire stared at the reflection of their young mistress, and even as women themselves, they felt genuinely amazed. Han Ruyan was dressed in a red wedding dress, wearing a gold thread phoenix crown, the red-picked robe extending to the ground, and a red belt around her waist, the carved pleats displaying intricate elegance. The brilliant red wedding dress and the sparkling gold phoenix crown complemented each other beautifully. Delicate bracelets adorned her wrists, a red cinnabar on her forehead, her small feet trembling slightly. Wearing a pair of red embroidered shoes, emitting a faint fragrance. In her wedding dress and phoenix crown, combined with Han Ruyan's nation-overturning beautiful features, her face blooming like a peach blossom, her eyebrows resembling distant mountains, she looked like a lotus emerging from water, her elegance natural and poised. "Miss, the Nanjing King has come to fetch the bride. Hurry up and get ready." Someone pushed the door open and entered, and immediately, the room descended into chaos as the maids finalized the makeup. "My daughter, when you get to the Nanjing King's side, be sure to." Han Mother touched her daughter's cheek, and as she spoke, tears of sorrow began to fall. "Mother!" Han Ruyan's nose tingled, and her eyes teemed with reluctance. "Don't cry. Tears will ruin the makeup, and you won't look beautiful. You should go there in grandeur, not frail like your mother." Han Mother caressed her own daughter and personally covered her with the red bridal veil. Outside Han Mansion, the scene was even livelier as Han Jinghuan personally awaited the arrival of the Nanjing King. From afar, the dense sound of horse hooves could be heard. "They're here! They're here!" At the entrance of Han Mansion, someone excitedly lowered their voice, causing a stir among the nearby friends and relatives. Han Jinghuan collected his scattered thoughts, gently smoothed his brocade robe, and looked towards the end of the street, where the bridegroom's procession appeared. At this moment, most of East Victory City was stirred, as people craned their necks, gathering on either side of the street, all because the bridal procession of the Nanjing King was exceptionally grand. Under the watchful eyes of countless people holding their breath, a group carrying red festive flags slowly advanced, followed by rows of stout horses, their hoofbeats particularly forceful. The riders, bearing ceremonial weapons, were followed by colorful chariots, ceremonial covers, whisk brooms, horse stools, and yoke chairs. Then there were the formidable armored soldiers bearing lying melons, standing melons, wu sticks, ceremonial knives, deng staffs, bone pieces, and golden festivals, followed by jade chariots, golden chariots, elephant carts, and leather carriages, each bearing 10 treasure elephants, for quiet whips, and 300 parade horses. In the center, there was a giant royal bridal sedan from the royal family, more than 10 feet tall, with red lacquered pillars, cloud-shaped carvings, gilt floral leaves, gilded copper treasure beads on sedan tops, and crimson curtains shining brilliantly under May's sunlight, dazzling to behold, immensely majestic and noble. "Wow! Look at the grandeur!" A group of onlookers stood by the roadside, their exclamations non-stop upon witnessing such a spectacle. "It's a pity. Miss Han still made the wrong decision." Yu Wenjing spoke with a calm tone. As a disciple of the immortal sect, he appeared unruffled by such worldly affairs. No matter how lavish the splendor or overwhelming the power, after 100 years, it all becomes just a handful of yellow earth. Since ancient times, it has been said that a 100-year dynasty, a 1,000-year noble family, and a 10,000-year immortal sect exist. Compared to a dynasty that occupies vast territories and governs countless people, the immortal sect stands high above all. Every few hundred years, dynasties change, unable to escape this cycle of fate. But the immortal sect, unconcerned with the secular world, resides high in heavenly towers and seems uninvolved in worldly affairs. Yet its existence far outlasts any dynasty. It truly is a pity for Miss Han. Mo Shiryao was also shaking her head. She had ultimately failed to persuade Han Ruyan to join the sect. As far as such individuals go, the Nanjing King does have cultivation resources, and a solid foundation too. That elder must be from the secret realm. Xiao Guanglian's gaze flickered, having noticed in the wedding procession several armored soldiers from the 4th or 5th level of the Yunling realm. Obviously, these were guest elders and retainers recruited by the Nanjing King, including an old man whose depth even he could not discern. Likely a cultivator from the secret realm. Although the royal family of the Dili dynasty had declined, a rotten ship still has 3 pounds of nails, so it still had some backbone. "Brother Su, I'm afraid that after today, those righteous disciples will also leave. Then they will split up, and we can ambush and take action on Qi Shijian's intended route." Xiao Fengyuan stood on both sides of the steps, his voice reaching Su Jie's ears. Su Jie nodded slightly, standing together with Ning Xinyue, witnessing a tall figure in the approaching wedding procession. This was a man on a jade Lu steed, distinct in features, and with a stable and dignified demeanor. He was dressed in golden silk brocade garments, wore a jade pendant at his waist, and held a jade rui in his hand, exuding an air of noble refinement. This person was the Nanjing King Xie Wenyi. Grand Master Taishan, your son-in-law offers his respects. Xie Wenyi dismounted from his horse and bowed in greeting. Ha, Xie Wenyi, you are too polite. Our families are one from now on. There's no need for such formality. Han Jinghuan hurriedly helped Xie Wenyi rise, his eyes growing increasingly satisfied with the Nanjing king. In the past, the Han family was also a powerful noble family with great influence in the court. However, they had fallen into decline after choosing the wrong side when the new emperor ascended. The Nanjing king would now be their greatest support for re-entering the temples of the court. For Xie Wenyi too, through this marriage alliance, he would gain an additional force to speak for him in the court. Although the Han mansion was in decline, the connections from the past still remained, and they had blood and marital ties with many noble families in the capital, all of which would become his strength in the future. After they exchanged pleasantries, and Xie Wenyi, following the protocols, formally invited 3 times and clarified 4 times, Han Ruyan was also helped out. This wedding dress is really beautiful. Ning Xinyue's lips parted slightly, as she saw Han Ruyan wearing a phoenix crown and brocade robe, the wedding dress with fine golden embroidery shimmering brightly, the phoenix tail dress fluttering in the wind, her slim waist and exposed pale wrists and neck glowing like the tender sprouts in spring. The tranquil and graceful demeanor, as if stepping out of a painting, was unforgettable at first glance. Jealous, you little girl. Are you even old enough to think about wearing a wedding dress? Su Jie chuckled as he patted Ning Xinyue on the head. I'm 18, all right? Ning Xinyue puffed her cheeks and slapped Su Jie's hand away. Han Ruyan was supported by her mother at the door of Han Mansion, where her mother fed her a mouthful of riding sedan rice, signifying not to forget the grace of being raised. All right, prepare to get on the flower sedan chair, she said. Han Jinghuan gently twisted his mustache and waved his hand to signal. The flower sedan chair arrived at the front, and Xie Wenyi stepped forward, about to take Han Ruyan's hand to lead her onto the sedan chair. The auspicious time has come. But just at that moment, a laugh suddenly echoed in everyone's ears. This voice arose not only at the entrance of Han Mansion but was also heard by all the citizens of East Victory City. Yu Wenjing, Shao Guanglian, Mo Shiyao, and other righteous disciples' faces changed dramatically. Who is speaking? Han Jinghuan looked around, unable to find the source of the sound, only noticing that the sky in the distance had darkened layer by layer. Black mist enveloped the sky dome, like a massive black bowl, covering East Victory City underneath. Su Jie frowned and, with one hand pulling Ning Xinyue and the other hand pulling Shao Fengyuan, silently retreated behind Yu Wenjing and the others. Xie Wenyi took 2 steps back. Seeing the black mist in the sky dome, he seemed to realize something, and his face turned several shades paler. Next to him, an elder with white hair and beard appeared, whispering, "Prince, quick, follow me. Those evil people from Heavenly Soul Sect. Ha! On such a joyous day, how could we miss it? The Heavenly Soul Sect comes to offer a wedding gift as well. I am Zhou Minzhen, presenting a wedding dress. I am Gongyang Ji, presenting a phoenix crown. Zhong Shiguan, presenting a pair of embroidered shoes." Above the clouds of the sky dome, 3 figures appeared, floating in the heavens, with sinister gazes sweeping around, finally fixing their eyes on Han Ruyan. "Elder Gongyang, let the children in. Everyone can hardly wait to dine. The ghost bride needs enough blood sacrifice." One of the elders with a cold demeanor and clearly the highest status said sternly. He was Zhou Minzhen, a senior elder of the Heavenly Soul Sect. "Elder Zhou, as you say, I will control the Heavenly Soul Formation well," replied Elder Gongyang Ji, dressed in a black robe and of short stature. "Elder Zhong, if you dare to act rashly again, don't blame me for flaying your skin first." Zhou Minzhen added, his gaze turning toward the last elder with disgust and murderous intent. Rest assured, Elder Zhou, not a single person will escape from East Victory City, said the elder, trembling and with a hint of fear in his eyes. Under their command, black mist spread throughout East Victory City, enveloping the entire city. Various ghostly creatures appeared with the mist, killing anyone they encountered, shrouding the entire city in bloodshed and slaughter. Su Jie watched the mist spreading, and he also saw the many ghosts. There were fierce ghosts, grim and terrifying, with hunched figures. With every step, they coughed violently. Once any of the nearby citizens came within 50 meters of one, they would start coughing violently, coughing up their own heart, liver, and lungs, dying a pitiful death. My skin, I need a new skin, chanted one. Some ghosts have gigantic forms, their bodies covered with burnt flesh. Their eyes flickered with blood-red ferocity as they repeatedly uttered this phrase. And as for the common folk caught by this ghost, their skin would be violently stripped away and stuck onto the charred flesh of the ghost itself. With each person killed, it was like putting on a tattered, ragged garment, each patch made of human skin. There were ghosts whose bodies were the size of wheels, with faces set in the middle, emitting crazy, piercing screeches. As they rolled thunderously over, they left a trail of crushed human remains behind. In a short amount of time, East Victory City was filled with dead bodies everywhere. All the common folk who had been slaughtered left behind grudges that refused to disperse, slowly drifting into the black fog and gathering above the Han Mansion. This is a demon. A demon has appeared. Startled, Han Jinghuan kept backing away, paralyzed by the scene. Han Ruyan's body trembled. She understood that these demon cultivators from the Heavenly Soul Sect had come for her too. Her heavenly spinning jade light body had actually attracted several members of the secret realm from the Heavenly Soul Sect. High above in the sky, an elder from the Heavenly Soul Sect descended. The short-statured Gongyang Ji looked past Han Ruyan and locked his gaze on Xie Wenyi. Nanjing King of Jingzhou, you meddled with the eradication of our Heavenly Soul Sect. We have been looking for you for a long time. Don't be so eager to leave. Color drained from Xie Wenyi's face, and he shouted loudly, Heavenly Soul Sect, you sinners, if you dare lay a hand on me, the entire Dali dynasty will have no place for you. He. Well said. We of the Heavenly Soul Sect have long lost any refuge, and isn't it all thanks to you? What fear could a bunch of lost souls and wandering ghosts have of being hunted? Today I, Gongyang Ji, will kill you as the first sacrifice. With a light wave of his hand, a rotten corpse, reeking of decay, appeared behind Gongyang Ji. The rotting corpse possessed some sort of special ability, and just by appearing, Xie Wenyi's entire body began to decompose, his skin blistering with abscesses as he screamed in terror. Buzz! Xie Wenyi's jade pendant at his waist lit up with a fluorescent light. If not for this defensive magical artifact, Xie Wenyi would have been killed instantly. Xie Wenyi let out a wretched scream. The elderly secret realm cultivator, Tang Lai, stepped in front of him. His spiritual energy surged skyward, shielding Xie Wenyi behind him. Kill him, Elder Tang. Quickly kill him for me. Xie Wenyi's eyes were full of hatred, as he gazed at his severely decayed skin and shakily pointed at the emaciated Gongyang Ji. Tang Lai stood before Gongyang Ji, his expression serious and grave. As for the other armored soldiers brought by Xie Wenyi, they were now shrouded in black fog, locked in combat with a multitude of ghosts, barely able to protect themselves. In the sky, two other elders were also slowly descending, one of whom was a figure that Su Jie found somewhat familiar. It was the painting woman, except now, the voice that came out was male. Clearly, Zhong Shiguan's divine soul had taken refuge in this fierce ghost's body, clinging to life desperately. Dragging Ning Xinyue and Xiao Fengyuan with him, Su Jie quickly took cover inside the Han Mansion. We must kill all these righteous disciples to avoid further chaos. Zhong Shiguan's eyes held deep hatred as his gaze swept wildly across the crowd. However, the Ghost Ridge Palace demon cultivator disciple he loathed most was nowhere to be seen. It's you. At first glance, Mo Shiryao recognized the painting woman. Hearing Zhong Shiguan's voice, as if understanding something, she shouted, "You actually dare to show up again, forsaking even your physical body just to trap me. With such power, you shouldn't talk so big about killing all of us." Zhong Shiguan appeared momentarily stunned, looking at Mo Shiryao with confusion. What nonsensical things was this woman talking about? "So you are that worthless elder." Qi Shijian stepped forward, eager to impress Mo Shiryao. A giant toad came forth from his sleeve, opening its mouth to swallow Zhong Shiguan whole. Another one from Ghost Ridge Palace, seeking death. Enraged, Zhong Shiguan eerily appeared before Qi Shijian, and a pair of pale, ghostly hands reached out, causing Qi Shijian's entire body to jolt. A chunk of flesh from his neck seemed to have been erased from existence, its edges crystallized as if mirrored. Had he stayed a moment longer, his whole body might have been wiped from the air. This person, so fierce. Qi Shijian couldn't help but turn back to look at Mo Shiryao. This Zhong Shiguan didn't seem like a watered-down opponent at all, but considering the goddess would surely not lie, Qi Shijian gritted his teeth, released a large swarm of poisonous insects, and attacked again. "Let's go together. We have 3 from the secret realm on our side. We might not necessarily be unable to fight." Yu Wenjing snorted coldly. He was very confident as he walked toward Zhou Minzhen, leading a group of righteous disciples to confront him. And with Tang Lai dealing with Gongyang Ji, Qi Shijian and Mo Shiryao cooperated to hold off the watered-down Zhong Shiguan. The battle seemed still fightable, but with the arrival of the black fog came a large number of fierce ghosts, which had all thrown themselves into the fight as well. A few minutes later, Yu Wenjing spurted out a mouthful of fresh blood, looking at Zhou Minzhen across from him with a mix of shock and anger. To be exact, he was looking at the densely packed hundreds of fierce ghosts behind Zhou Minzhen. The grade of these ghosts was at least 3rd grade, not to mention 4th and 5th grade, and even the presence of 6th grade terrifying beings, which was really hair-raising. Already, several bodies of righteous disciples had fallen near Zhou Minzhen. These were all high disciples from the immortal sect with cultivations of the 9th level or even 10 levels of the Yunling realm, but still they were being killed and forced into retreat. Is this the legendary Heavenly Soul Formation? We can't confront it head-on. Let's retreat first. Yu Wenjing's face was extremely ugly, as Qingzhou and Jingzhou were adjacent. He had heard of this formation. It is said that this formation had the ability to summon souls and ghosts, usually set up in the wilderness to attract wild wandering spirits and fierce ghosts. It needs regular human sacrifices inside to feed the ghosts for slaughtering, so as to foster fear and elevate their grade. When deployed in battle, it becomes a 10,000 ghost array. He had only heard of it, but he didn't expect to witness it with his own eyes today, and it was such a massive heavenly soul formation, covering the entire East Victory City. Under Yu Wenjing's leadership, a group of righteous disciples didn't even consider continuing the fight and fled in a very flustered manner. Run, if you're not scared. Then how can you provide more fear? Zhou Minzhen's lips curled up into a weird smile as he watched the righteous disciples flee, then turned to look at Han Ruyan. Whoosh! The curse mark on Han Ruyan's back turned red and hot. It turns out the real cursor was not Zhong Shiguan, but Zhou Minzhen. It hurts so much. Han Ruyan suddenly stiffened. The red wedding dress on her body tightened increasingly, making it impossible to breathe. Ru Yan. Han Mother and Han Jinghuan both cried out, wanting to rush over, but were firmly held back by the family retainers and fled back deep into the Han mansion. Almost let that useless Zhong Shiguan ruin my plans. The heavenly spinning jade light body, plus dying wronged on her wedding day. The ghost bride that will be cultivated. I wonder how strong she will be. Zhou Minzhen's hands constantly formed seals, and the resentment and fear that filled the city from those who had been killed was continuously absorbed by the black fog and then poured into Han Ruyan's body. Gradually, Han Ruyan's figure began to change, with a faint glow flashing in her eyes that were bottomless, seemingly hiding endless resentment and sorrow. As time went on, Han Ruyan, dressed in a luxurious red wedding dress, had a complexion as pale as paper, lips so faded they were nearly transparent, filled with a chilling aura. Some death chi emerged on her body, and although she still looked beautiful on the outside, it was a chilling sort of beauty that made people feel uneasy. Oh! Inside the Han mansion, Su Jie was also in action. In the midst of the black fog, other people easily had their vision limited, and even insect control technique couldn't work well, but thankfully Su Jie still had divine sense, a form of exploration carried out through the divine soul, which the black fog could not block. Su Jie trailed far behind the group of righteous disciples. After being scattered by Zhou Minzhen, these people fled in panic. Su Jie's gaze mainly locked onto Qi Shijian. Gurgle. At his side, a butcher ghost, wearing a blood-stained apron and holding a pig-killing knife, and with a corpulent build, appeared around the corner. The butcher ghost slowly raised the pig-killing knife in its hand and slashed through the air, causing a shiver down Xiao Fengyuan's spine, who was walking next to Su Jie. A line of blood appeared from his brow to his groin, deep enough to show bone, nearly slicing him in two. Humph! Seeking death. Wiping the fresh blood from his face, Xiao Fengyuan's right hand produced a mid-grade magical artifact, the Blood-Song Spear, and hurled it directly at the ghost, impaling its chest and nailing it to the wall, rendering the fourth-grade fierce ghost incapable of moving. Quick battle, quick decision. Leading the way, Su Jie with Ning Xinyue following closely with small steps, Xiao Fengyuan quickly dealt with the butcher ghost. This sort of battle had already happened no less than 4 times, with fierce ghosts of both 3rd and 4th grades dying at their hands. 10 minutes later, Su Jie's eyes twitched, and he finally saw the opportunity. It was the righteous disciples anxious to leave East Victory City, who were now split up and looking for the weakness in the Heavenly Soul Formation, with Xiao Guanglian and Mo Shiyao leading one group, and naturally the sycophant Qi Shijian was among them. Oh, damn it! Where's the way out of this Heavenly Soul Formation? At the edge of the East Victory City walls, Xiao Guanglian once again found himself back at this location. As soon as they left the range of East Victory City and entered those deep black mists, they would lose their direction and become disoriented. Walking and walking, they would find themselves back at the starting place. For these top-notch disciples, if it were just a simple maze formation, they could break it with a wave of their hand. However, the maze effect that came with the Heavenly Soul Formation was so perplexing that even these disciples couldn't find any way to break it. True word. Thousand Ranges Wind. With the Heavenly Constitution in her mouth, Mo Shiyao unleashed dense moonlight blades that sliced a suddenly appearing fierce ghost into 1,000 cuts, blasting it into oblivion. Phew! After catching her breath, Mo Shiyao said, Qi Shijian, have your insects found a way out? No. The insects also get lost in the black mist. Qi Shijian shook his head repeatedly, indicating his helplessness. Useless. As one of Ghost Ridge Palace's strongest disciples, how can you not find an exit? It's bad enough that you lost to a watered-down secret realm like Zhong Shiguan. Mo Shiyao's brows furrowed slightly, her mood very displeased. Miss Mo, that Zhong Shiguan isn't weak. Not wanting Mo Shiyao to underestimate him, Qi Shijian spoke up. In a previous fight with Zhong Shiguan, he had been beaten badly, and if not for the other disciples coming to his aid, he might have died at the hands of Zhong Shiguan. Still making excuses, when I and Su Chongqing, a mere mortal from the martial arts world, could force him back, how could he be so strong if he had to abandon his physical body? Mo Shiyao's voice grew colder and more impatient, causing Qi Shijian to hesitate, feeling that something was off. Miss Mo, quick, save me. As they were discussing with troubled minds, suddenly, a voice came through. Turning their heads, Mo Shiyao and others saw through the black mist Su Chongqing, whom Mo Shiyao had just mentioned, running towards them while occasionally looking back as if being chased by some fierce ghost. How is it you? You're still alive. Mo Shiyao was utterly surprised to see Su Jie, especially since East Victory City was in chaos with demons running amok and fierce ghosts roaming and killing the inhabitants, even resulting in numerous casualties among the cultivators. The fact that Su Jie, a martial artist, had managed to survive and run from the city center to the city walls was beyond Mo Shiyao's expectations. Miss Mo, quick, come and help. There are fierce ghosts chasing after me. Su Jie ran over with a panic-stricken face. His footsteps disordered and his body covered in blood stains, making him look utterly miserable. Oh, now you seek my help? Emo Shiryao, with her aloof demeanor, crossed her arms and, remembering all of Su Jie's past actions, made no move to lend him assistance. Su Jie stumbled forward and shouted, "Miss Mo, do you really intend to stand by and watch me die? So what if I do? If you die, it's because you lack the strength." Emo Shiryao's voice was flat, showing no connection with Su Jie. Seeing him approach, she even gestured lightly with her hand, signaling to others to stop him. "This brother, please leave. We're not on the same path." Qi Shijian, the first to ingratiate himself, quickly stepped in front of Su Jie, disdaining anyone whom Emo Shiryao disliked as well. Su Jie didn't have time to stop and collided into Qi Shijian. Just as Qi Shijian was about to push this person away, he suddenly felt a pain in his chest and a cold voice echoed in his ear. "Indeed, we're not on the same path. How could a traitor like you walk the same road as me?" Qi Shijian numbly looked down only to see an arm piercing through his chest. Ahead, Su Jie's face was cold as the distinct swarm of insects from Ghost Ridge Palace disciples crazily burrowed out from his sleeves. The group of righteous disciples, who were ready to mock, were stunned, staring at the bloody hand emerging from Qi Shijian's back, disbelief written all over their faces. Sizzle. While the righteous disciples were still dazed, pale corpse hands burst out from Su Jie's flesh, tightly grasping Qi Shijian's whole body. Boom! Just as Emo Shiryao opened her mouth, wanting to utter the true word, a terrifying cold current swept through, forcing Emo Shiryao to sidestep and miss the optimum moment. Next to her, just as Xiao Guanglian raised his arm, a blood-red long spear pierced through the void within a cloud of black mist. The Blood Song Spear. It's the 9-headed demon spear. Xiao Guanglian recognized the weapon in an instant, and his expression immediately darkened. The primary combat reliance of Ghost Ridge Palace disciples was on poisonous insects. When Qi Shijian tried to retaliate, Su Jie's eyes flashed with a purple light, shooting out 2 purple light rays which directly melted Qi Shijian's arms. Additionally, the fingers of the Death Decline Curse cloud touched down on Qi Shijian. Qi Shijian visibly aged and decayed. His skin slackened, his hair turned white, his teeth fell out, and corpse spots densely appeared on his skin, with his vitality continuously declining, from a demon cultivator in his prime to an old man with white hair. Not giving Qi Shijian a chance to release the insects, pale corpse hands surrounded the aged Qi Shijian, leaving only his head exposed. "Who exactly are you?" Emo Shiryao finally came to her senses and cried out.
Ghost Ridge Palace, Suye.
Beneath Su Jie's feet, the 1,000-hand centipede rapidly grew in size, lifting both Su Jie and Qi Shijian, towering over the few righteous disciples below. Ghost Ridge Palace, Xiao Fengyuan. Xiao Fengyuan emerged from the black mist, with the Blood Song Spear circling around his body, his aura full of murderous energy. Ghost Ridge Palace, Zhu Qingya. Ning Xinyue sat on the city wall, her delicate legs swinging as she cheerfully introduced herself. Su Jie's features shifted like flowing water, restoring his true appearance. "It's you, the murderer." The moment she saw Su Jie's true face, Emo Shiryao's beautiful eyes immediately reddened because her beloved, Du Xiaochang, had died at Su Jie's hands. "Miss Mo, Qingyin Fairy, long time no see." Su Jie waved humbly and greeted Emo Shiryao. "Ghost Ridge Palace, cough cough you?" Qi Shijian was still conscious and, hearing Su Jie and the others revealing their sect allegiance and seeing their faces, he instantly realized that they were sent by the sect to capture him, the traitor. Su Jie turned his head to look at Qi Shijian, his smile fading as he said sternly, "Qi Shijian, you have betrayed the sect. Today we are here by the orders of Masters Zhuo to escort you back to the sect for trial. For the crime of treachery and defection, you will certainly have your tongue pulled out, skin flayed, tendons severed, bones picked, boiled in oil, organs fried, your soul devoured by worms, and your spirit shall enter the heavenly soul lamp, condemned to eternal damnation." With every sentence Su Jie uttered, Qi Shijian's face grew paler, and his body trembled like chaff. Being from Ghost Ridge Palace, how could he not know the ruthlessness of the Secret Realm Elder's methods? If caught and taken back, he certainly faced torture worse than death. "You devil, die!" Mo Shuryao's lips were tightly bitten, her eyes filled with deep-seated hatred. She suddenly produced a wooden fish and started pounding it towards Su Jie. The thousand-hand centipede coiled its massive body into a ball, shielding Su Jie within. Layers of immortal sound ripples fell on the thousand-hand centipede's body, colliding with its outer scales. Some scales cracked, and the outer flesh blasted open, creating holes, but this was nothing for the massive body of the thousand-hand centipede. The next moment, the thousand-hand centipede lowered its head and its skull-like face opened wide. Mo Shuryao's face changed. She knew this move of the thousand-hand centipede, and she quickly retreated backward. Boom! 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 Hundreds of violent high-temperature beams erupted, melting metal and iron insufficiently to describe this heat. Mo Shuryao moved slightly slower, and her right leg was missing a chunk of flesh. On the other side, Xiao Fengyuan, holding the Bloodsong spear, summoned the mid-grade 5 refinement multi-legged centipede, directly facing the other 3 righteous disciples. "Demon cultivator, let me take you on," Xiao Guanglian shouted loudly, riding a spirit-feathered phoenix towards Su Jie, and midway he threw a golden turtle seal which transformed into the size of a house, with Xuanwu Dharma form manifesting, pillars supporting the heavens, heavily suppressing downwards. The thousand-hand centipede twisted and flew, bravely facing the descending golden turtle seal and forcefully shaking it off. This poisonous insect, mid-grade 5 refinement. Xiao Guanglian's expression grew solemn. He waved his hand and multiple artifacts appeared. 5 elements tripod, purple jade sky staff, moonstone sword, star will magic plate, heaven-breaking trident. Low-grade magic tools did not catch his interest. There were as many as 10 mid-grade magical artifacts and 1 top-grade magical artifact present. This was the Fire Tower. Once deployed, it burned a vast vacuum, with seas of fire spreading in all directions. Being the divine son of the current generation of the Purple Mist sect and the sect master's own grandson, the treatment he enjoyed and the magical artifacts he possessed had already far surpassed most of the Hidden Realm elders. With so many artifacts, junior sister Zhu, your turn. You have more treasures. I'll leave it to you. Upon seeing this, Su Jie immediately drew the battle towards Ning Xinyue, who had been watching the scene. Hey, you scoundrel! Ning Xinyue immediately stamped her foot, ignoring the spectacle and shaking her tender lotus-like wrists. A Vajra bracelet whirled out. "Darling, please withdraw. Collect all his treasures for me." The Vajra bracelet shone brilliantly, emitting a terrifying suction force. Several mid-grade magical artifacts were caught in its pull, uncontrollably flying towards the Vajra bracelet like iron to a magnet. Xiao Guanglian's mount, the spirit-feathered phoenix, screeched and let out a hostile cry towards Ning Xinyue, its mouth and nose spewing violent black water, which Ning Xinyue narrowly avoided. Wind, fire, thunder. Xiao Guanglian rapidly formed spell gestures, and the top-grade magical artifact, the Fire Tower, soared into the sky dome. Gale force winds raged, accompanied by sweeping flames and roaring heavenly thunder. In an instant, the area around Ning Xinyue became the eye of the storm, with wind feeding the flames, fire borrowing the wind's force, and continuous lightning strikes, the terrifying onslaught seemingly set to shatter heaven and earth. "Su Jie, come help me quickly." Ning Xinyue was desperate. She took out the jade heavenly book, and as the tadpole-like characters on it shifted ceaselessly, they formed a faint layer of scripture light screen, protecting Ning Xinyue within it. However, Xiao Guanglian's top-grade magical artifact, the Fire Tower, was truly formidable. Its terrifying assault forced Ning Xinyue to retreat repeatedly, and cracks began appearing on the light screen. Su Jie patted the head of the thousand-handed centipede and said, "Xiao Qian, take care of this woman." The thousand-handed centipede slithered forward, rumbling towards Mo Shiryao with an aggressive charge. As a mid-grade 5 refinement poisonous insect, even in a one-on-one fight, its combat instinct kicked in and did not require Su Jie's constant command. "Darling, please turn around." Su Jie pointed his fingers like a sword, his gaze locked onto Xiao Guanglian. Flight upon flight of flying swords, led by the white-bone sky-slaying sword, transformed into a dazzling sword river and appeared before Xiao Guanglian. "Ha, mere low-grade flying swords." Disdain appeared on Xiao Guanglian's face. He pressed his left hand downward, and 3 mid-grade flying swords moved to meet the sword river, clashing with Su Jie's swords. These low-grade flying swords, even though enhanced by the sword Nourishing Gourd, were still fundamentally inferior to the mid-grade flying swords. Only the white-bone sky-slaying sword, an exceptional low-grade magical artifact, could contend with a mid-grade flying sword. The other low-grade swords broke upon contact with the mid-grade swords as easily as tofu. But the smug look on Xiao Guanglian's face didn't last more than a few seconds, as an overwhelming human-faced moth cloud swept in. Su Jie, too, waved the 10,000 soul banner, and terrifying Yin souls surged forth, forming the 10,000 Yin blood nether array. A mighty blood river descended from the sky, as if the river was falling from the 9th heaven, a sight to shock the soul. Demon cultivators are just that, employing nothing but underhanded tactics unfit for the public eye. Despite Xiao Guanglian's reproach, his eyes were filled with extreme gravity as he maneuvered several mid-grade magical artifacts to confront both the insect cloud and the blood river. Within the cloud, 5 to 6 mid-grade human-faced moths and over 100 low-grade human-faced moths led the charge, backed by over 300,000 inferior human-faced moths, as they surged up en masse, clashing against each artifact. There was a 5 elements tripod that overturned, unleashing 5 elements divine light from within: gold, wood, water, fire, and earth transformed into a mixed elemental tornado, sweeping up human-faced moths and obliterating them on the spot. Purple jade heavenly mace fell with earth-shattering tremors, turning numerous human-faced moths into pulp. The star-will plate presented zodiac patterns, with beams of starlight falling from the sky dome as if connecting to distant constellations. Amid the cascade of starlight, many human-faced moths evaporated into sparkling points of light, disappearing into the void. Numerous mid-grade magical artifacts launched their attacks, but the sheer number of human-faced moths made it impossible for these artifacts to deal with the terrifying swarm in a short time. The blood river swept in as well, engulfing several mid-grade magical artifacts within its raging currents. This river, constructed of countless Yin souls, not only tainted the spiritual radiance of these artifacts, but also eroded the spiritual power Xiao Guanglian had attached to them. The next moment, the vast insect cloud surged, enveloping Xiao Guanglian and forming a massive cocoon of insects around him. As each human-faced moth spat acid, continuously biting and gnawing at him. As the grandson of the sect master of the Purple Mist sect, Xiao Guanglian was naturally under heavy protection. He wore a top-grade protection vestment robe, and although the insect cloud could wear it down, it would take too much time. However, while Xiao Guanglian was protected, his mount, the spirit-feathered phoenix, wasn't so lucky. It was covered in countless human-faced moths, eating away at each inch of its flesh and blood furiously. Especially those low-grade and mid-grade human-faced moths. Each squirt of their acidic saliva caused the beautiful spirit-feathered phoenix to let out tragic cries as feathers fell and it spiraled down from the sky. Before even hitting the ground, this spiritual beast with no small cultivation was gnawed down to a white-boned skeleton. Its death was a pitiful sight. Xiao Guanglian's face was grim, as he stood on the golden turtle seal to maintain flight while taking out a large number of talismans from his embrace. All of them mid-grade. Heavenly fire-burning god talisman, go. Holding the talisman, Xiao Guanglian muttered under his breath, and the talisman transformed into a column of light that coalesced into a massive fire qilin that charged toward Su Jie. Su Jie's brow did not move. With a light wave of his right hand, the purple cloud heavenly thunder kept striking down from the sky, obliterating the fire qilin. Let's see how many you can block. Xiao Guanglian's hands moved quickly, flinging talisman after talisman as if they cost him nothing. With the sounds of dragon roars echoing, the talismans turned into silver-white dragons tens of meters long, colliding head-on. Some talismans became tens of thousands of golden swords, piercing from all directions. Others turned into streaks of divine thunder, continuously countering Su Jie's purple cloud, heavenly thunder. Facing this tycoon-like battle method of throwing money around, Su Jie could only continue to use purple cloud divine thunder and call upon the human-faced moths and the blood river for defense. Having used purple cloud divine thunder repeatedly, even his head began to throb with pain. And the human-faced moths and the blood river were also being depleted greatly. As one attacked and the other defended, Su Jie's side, with its greater number of insects, exhausted most of Xiao Guanglian's talismans. However, Su Jie's originally large swarm was also decimated by these rounds of talisman detonations, leaving very few remaining. After the offensive ended, both Su Jie and Xiao Guanglian were still flying in the air, but their auras were completely different. Su Jie had a faint layer of sweat on his forehead, having overused the purple cloud divine thunder, while Xiao Guanglian appeared more composed, as if he had not been through a battle at all. Finally, Xiao Guanglian spoke lightly. "Your tricks are insufficient. Once the insects are dead, I'll see what you can use to block me." Upon hearing this, Su Jie's face revealed a cold smile. "I still have the strength for one more fight, but whether your friend does is another matter." At that moment, Mo Shiao was also engaged in a tough fight. She was no match for the thousand-hand centipede, being chased around in disarray. The counterattack of the true word immortal sound hardly bothered the thousand-hand centipede. The battle there was about to end, and if the thousand-hand centipede were to join this side, the situation could flip instantly. Xiao Guanglian was slightly distracted, as he also feared the presence of the thousand-hand centipede. The involvement of this mid-grade 5 refinement poisonous insect in the fight was terrifying. To prevent such a situation, he directly sent several magical artifacts flying to Mo Shiao's location to help stabilize the situation. "You dare to be distracted." Su Jie had been waiting for this moment. As soon as he spoke, the blood river stretched toward Xiao Guanglian. The onslaught of the blood river caused Xiao Guanglian's vestment robe to begin to quiver, and ripples spread across his magic shield. "Do you really think I can only rely on magic artifacts?" Amid the wash of the blood river, Xiao Guanglian coldly snorted, his body radiating Shenjin radiance, his skin turning jet black. With a punch, a gap instantly appeared in the blood river. As a divine son of the Purple Mist sect, Xiao Guanglian did not rely solely on his status as the sect master's direct grandson. He himself also possessed a mystical treasure golden body, and though this treasure body was only ranked in the 70s or 80s among divine bodies, with various powerful magic artifacts added, his strength was still far beyond Du Xiaochang's at his prime. On Ning Xinyue's end, she was still entangled with the Fire Tower, a top-grade magical artifact. Su Jie's eyes flickered slightly, leaving behind a decoy with the mysterious shadow secret technique, and using layers of corpse hands to defend against the attacks of mid-grade magical artifacts. He could still maintain safety for a short time. His true body silently entered the blood river, using it to disguise his position as he slowly approached Xiao Guanglian. Xiao Guanglian, engrossed in battle, dispersed great swathes of the blood river with each punch and kick. Relying on the protection of his top-grade vestment robe, he acted recklessly and fiercely. Whirl! At a distance of 10 meters from Xiao Guanglian, just as the other party threw another punch, a flash of brilliance crossed Su Jie's eyes. "Hit me!" Su Jie's eyes burst forth with purple light rays. At such a close distance, and with Xiao Guanglian unguarded, the purple light ray hit its mark directly, its high temperature all blocked by the vestment robe. "To actually deliver yourself to me, you're truly seeking death." Shang Lai threw a punch, as Xiao Guanglian activated the Jinzong technique of the Purple Mist sect, the Wanxiang Heavenly Power True Method. This punch, borrowing the heavenly might, blasted forth accompanied by winds and clouds, tossing a vast swath of cloud sea afar, turning everything 100 meters in front of the fist into a vacuum state. With this punch, Xiao Guanglian was filled with a resolve to kill. As far as he knew, Gu masters were not good at close combat, and this was his chance to end the battle. But what he didn't know was that Su Jie's real trump card was not the purple light ray. Almost as soon as Xiao Guanglian counterattacked, Su Jie's body flashed, closing the distance even further between him and Xiao Guanglian. With a palm strike from his left hand, he unleashed the 5 elements demon-suppressing handprint on the void, while his right hand condensed the purple cloud heavenly thunder, turning it into a thunder spear that pierced through the sky. The two attacks clashed fiercely, as if there was a volcanic eruption in the skies, and a myriad of divine lights swept across all directions. Bang! A figure flew backward, and unexpectedly, it was Xiao Guanglian who couldn't withstand it. Now, Su Jie at the 9th level of Yunling realm, combined with his purple cloud thunder body, was physically stronger than Xiao Guanglian's mystical treasure golden body by a head. Even though Xiao Guanglian was at the 10 levels of Yunling realm, he was no match for Su Jie in a clash. How is this possible? Xiao Guanglian's face was filled with bewilderment. He couldn't believe that he had not succeeded in close combat against Su Jie. Fortunately, with the protection of the top-grade vestment robe, he wasn't injured, and the aftermath of the attacks were blocked outside. Su Jie's right hand formed a claw, the Death Decline curse cloud turning into a dark light, instantly creating a huge ripple on the top-grade vestment robe. Xiao Guanglian was startled, as he sensed a breath of death from the Death Decline curse cloud. But after all, it was a top-grade vestment robe and ultimately withstood this strike. Heh! With your meager methods, you think you can break through my vestment robe? His face regained confidence, but just as Xiao Guanglian's voice fell, a terrifyingly cold flow suddenly covered him from behind. Ning Xinyue finally stopped slacking off and, seizing the opportunity, ran the Shenin body at full strength, the Shenin cold flow hitting Xiao Guanglian directly. The terrifying cold flow caused the top-grade vestment robe to emit crisp cracking sounds, as if it could shatter at any moment. Xiao Qian! Su Jie shouted, and Xiao Guanglian turned his head in terror, just to see the distant thousand-hand centipede fighting with Mo Shiryao. The bone-white cheeks of the centipede split open as hundreds of purple light rays burst forth. When he tried to escape, he found that corpse hands had surrounded him without his knowledge, encroaching on his space to dodge. Bang! 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 The hundreds of purple light rays hit Xiao Guanglian continuously. Each ray, carrying terrifyingly high temperatures, combined with the Shenin cold flow previously cast by Ning Xinyue, all piled onto the protective vestment robe. The effects of thermal expansion and contraction took place, and this incredibly sturdy vestment robe under successive attacks could no longer hold up. Cracks spread across it, and several small gaps appeared. How is this possible? Xiao Guanglian could not believe that his top-grade vestment robe, which even cultivators from the secret realm struggled to damage, was actually broken by the joint efforts of 2 disciples from the Yunling realm. There's nothing impossible. Don't you know what thermal expansion and contraction is? Carrying a tortoise shell around, you really thought you were untouchable or what? At this moment, the distance between Su Jie and Xiao Guanglian was extremely close. The instant the top-grade vestment robe was breached, his divine soul left his body. His physical body was supported by the human-faced moth cloud, but his divine soul dived into the breach of Xiao Guanglian's shattered vestment robe. This is... Xiao Guanglian was shocked again, his forehead covered with cold sweat. Seeing the state of Su Jie's divine soul, he was only a pair of eyes away from condensing into a primordial spirit. How formidable Su Jie's divine soul was. Even Zhong Shiguan from the secret realm was forced to abandon his body and flee in a wretched state. Xiao Guanglian, finding an opportunity for Su Jie, his divine soul entering the body, was likely to die without question. However, Su Jie hadn't accounted for how much Xiao Guanglian's grandfather feared for his grandson's safety. Not only was he equipped with the vestment robe, but even the magical artifacts for his divine soul had been fully prepared. Just as Su Jie's divine soul was about to crash into Xiao Guanglian's head, an amulet around his neck was activated. The life protection talisman was a defense against divine soul attacks, with intense soul power arcs surging on it, forcefully driving back Su Jie's divine soul.
BFF.
Even so, Xiao Guanglian was in a lot of pain. Blood streamed from his 7 apertures, and his divine soul was covered in scars. The next moment, Xiao Guanglian pulled out a bunch of Qilin crystal silver flower fruits, each emerald crystal fruit resembling grapes, one plucked and tossed into his mouth, his soul injuries steadily recovering. Damn wastrel! Su Jie cursed under his breath. These Qilin crystal silver flower fruits were extremely precious, growing only on the summits of snowy mountains. Not only were they rare, but they were often guarded by spiritual beasts. Besides healing soul injuries, the Qilin crystal silver flower fruits also strongly nourished and enhanced the divine soul. However, unlike other things, a slight mishap with the divine soul could lead to mental disorder, or worse, turn someone into a vegetative state, necessitating careful consumption for cultivation. Even Su Jie couldn't help but be envious of Xiao Guanglian. This was the benefit of a good background. If it hadn't been for the numerous magical artifacts and talismans protecting him, Su Jie would have defeated him much earlier. Seeing Su Jie's wounds, Xiao Guanglian showed fear. He was terrified by Su Jie's divine soul. Such encounters were extremely dangerous, easily leading to the obliteration of the divine soul and theft of the body. His own divine soul was no match for Su Jie's. At this moment he decided decisively, and without turning his head, he fled. Seeing this, Su Jie reached out with one hand, turning the purple cloud thunderbolt into a heavenly saber. His tiny divine soul grabbed the heavenly saber and slashed through the air, severing Xiao Guanglian's arm, which was holding the Qilin crystal silver flower fruits. In Hong's fresh blood spilled profusely. In the process, Xiao Guanglian fled even faster, using one magical artifact after another to fend off Su Jie's pursuit. Xiao Guanglian's defeat meant the other righteous disciples could no longer hold it together. Let's retreat. Mo Shiyao clenched her silver teeth, her body covered in wounds inflicted by the 1,000-hand centipede. She did not want to admit it, but she couldn't even defeat one of Su Jie's poisonous insects, and that was the fact. Recognizing the reality with the last 2 remaining righteous disciples, Mo Shiyao decisively chose to flee. Should we chase them? Xiao Fengyuan stood beside Su Jie, his blood-song spear hanging with a corpse drained of blood, clothed in the garments of the righteous disciples. They must have run to meet with Yu Wenjing. If they get us wrapped up in their scheme, it would be difficult to fight them off. Besides, our main task is to capture Qi Shijin. It's best if we can kill some enemies along the way, but it doesn't matter if we can't, we shouldn't take risks. Su Jie shook his head. Xiao Guanglian was not even the strongest among these righteous disciples. Yu Wenjing from Qingzhou's biggest sect, Guanchao Pavilion, was. Even Xiao Guanglian was so difficult to deal with, possessing many magic artifacts and tricks. It took Su Jie a lot of effort just to defeat him. He didn't dare to imagine how formidable Yu Wenjing would be. Not to mention that Yu Wenjing had about a dozen righteous disciples with him, all skilled members from various sects. If a real fight broke out, the odds of Su Jie's side winning were extremely low. However, the battle was not without its gains. Xiao Guanglian had fled, but he hadn't managed to take all his magic artifacts with him. He only had time to grab those nearby. As for the mid-grade magical artifacts that were swept up in the Blood River, several of them were left behind at the scene. The heaven-breaking trident, 5 elements tripod, purple jade sky staff. Looking at the 3 mid-grade magical artifacts they had acquired, a smile inevitably appeared on Su Jie's face. The price of one mid-grade magical artifact typically ranged from 5,000 to 10,000 spirit stones. Only the top-notch or specially effective mid-grade magical artifacts would exceed the price of 10,000 spirit stones. Before this incident, the Sword Nourishing Gourd was the only mid-grade magical artifact Su Jie possessed. This battle had netted him 3 more mid-grade magical artifacts. Although these artifacts might not suit him, selling them would still represent a tremendous fortune. Thinking this, Su Jie turned his gaze to Ning Xinyue, who was currently eyeing the fire tower with great delight. Xiao Guanglian had fled in such a rush that he hadn't managed to reclaim the fire tower, and Ning Xinyue ended up snagging it. Feeling Su Jie's gaze, Ning Xinyue instantly became wary, stuffing the fire tower into her storage bag and said to Su Jie, "What's up?" This is my loot. I'm not giving it to you. You're the laziest in battle, yet the quickest to grab the loot. Su Jie pinched Ning Xinyue's delicate cheek, speaking irritably. Even he had been injured in the fight, but this girl was spotless, clearly not exerting herself at all. You taught me to always consider the benefits. Why should I exhaust myself to the point of getting hurt or even sacrificing myself? That would be too uneconomical. Ning Xinyue rolled her eyes and argued. After all, she wasn't from Ghost Ridge Palace. There was no need for her to die for it. For Ning Xinyue, it wasn't so much about coveting a top-grade magical artifact since she was indeed very wealthy. But since she had personally seized this artifact, especially under Su Jie's watchful eye, being usually bullied by Su Jie and taken advantage of, having a chance to turn the tables and snag something from him was particularly joyful and worth celebrating for Ning Xinyue. Forget it, let's retreat. We don't know if this battle has attracted other enemies. Su Jie looked at Ning Xinyue's rascally demeanor, unsure of who she had learned it from, and shook his head before turning to lead the team away from the battlefield. Oh! Su Jie and his two companions carried Qi Shijian, feeding him a sleeping anesthetic to ensure he would not cause any trouble. Along the way, they dealt with several fierce ghosts, but they faced the same problem that Xiao Guanglian had encountered earlier. That was the inability to leave the formation that enveloped the entire East Victory City. Each time they walked not far from the city wall, they would lose their way in the black fog and eerily return to their original location. This is the Heavenly Soul Formation, and it seems we can't get out, Ning Xinyue said, blinking her eyes, her face not tense. She had a talisman that could teleport her away if necessary. This is troublesome, Brother Su. Do you have any ideas? Xiao Fengyuan was not as optimistic as Ning Xinyue. The number of fierce ghosts in East Victory City was increasing. If they stayed any longer, they would eventually be overwhelmed by the ghosts. Su Jie furrowed his brows in deep thought. He had initially thought that with his powerful divine soul power, he could easily find a flaw in the formation and leave smoothly. However, Su Jie underestimated the power of the Heavenly Soul Formation. Even his divine soul could not find the correct way out. No matter how he explored with his divine sense, all he saw was a haze. Perhaps. Suddenly, Su Jie's gaze turned toward the center of East Victory City, where the Han Mansion was located. Because he also practiced the 9 nether ghost cultivation technique, Su Jie could now sense the intense fear and resentment in the black fog, continuously flowing toward the city center. Combining this with the conversation he had overheard from Zhong Shiguan and Zhou Minzhen and other elders of the Heavenly Soul Sect, Su Jie speculated. Those people planned to turn Han Ruyan, the body of the heavenly spinning jade light, into a ghost, using the whole city for a blood sacrifice to grant her extraordinary power upon birth. At this point, Han Ruyan was surely the array eye of the Heavenly Soul Formation. Otherwise, the resentment would not be surging in that manner. To break the formation, we must first deal with the array eye, Su Jie concluded, surprising Xiao Fengyuan and Ning Xinyue. Miss Han turned into a ghost? Ning Xinyue felt a pang of regret, remembering the stunning sight of Han Ruyan in her wedding dress, saddened by her grim fate. Brother Su, you decide. I'll follow your lead, Xiao Fengyuan said gravely. After their journey together, he had immense trust in Su Jie, who was superior in both combat and intellect. He chose to follow the wise. We need to visit the Han Mansion, but not just yet, Su Jie said, taking out a string of Qilin crystal silver flower fruits, which he had seized from Xiao Guanglian. As Xiao Guanglian fled, his arm was severed, and the Qilin crystal silver flower fruits he was clutching for healing his divine soul injuries fell, turning into Su Jie's spoils of war. Hopefully, I can take that final step. With a slight smile on his lips, Su Jie thought that although Xiao Guanglian liked to burn through money in combat, having gold coins truly made him explode with riches, and he had too many good items on hand, each one desirable. Right now, this string of Qilin crystal silver flower fruits was incredibly important for Su Jie. Su Jie's divine soul was only lacking eyes, and this string of Qilin crystal silver flower fruits might help him take the final step to achieve the primordial spirit soul. 3 days passed in a flash. In a densely populated residential area of East Victory City, flanked by high walls covered in moss, corpses lay strewn about, some dismembered, some with their innards hollowed out, some twisted into spirals by iron wire, showing various manners of death, all emitting waves of foul stench. These were all ordinary civilians who had fallen victim to fierce ghosts. And now, the winding, dark, and damp alleys were almost entirely devoid of the living. Only the smell of rot wafted to one's nose, and all around was quiet, subdued, gloomy, and dangerous. Let me see you run now. Let me see you scratch me. Suddenly, the silence of the alley was shattered by shouts. A battle was erupting here. Ning Xinyue wielded the Vajra bracelet like a brick, riding atop a white-clothed female ghost and thumping it on the head, scattering the third-grade fierce ghost soul. Huff, huff, more and more fierce ghosts are showing up. It's not safe to stay in this place. Xinyue sat on the ground uncaring of her Leda-like demeanor, fiddling with the Vajra bracelet and complaining to Xiao Fengyuan, who was meditating with eyes closed nearby. It's probably because many civilians have died. Lacking the attraction of civilians, fierce ghosts have continuously attacked us. Xiao Fengyuan opened his eyes. He and Ning Xinyue had been taking turns on watch these past few days, killing no small number of fierce ghosts. But the number of fierce ghosts was seemingly endless and only increasing. I wonder how much longer that guy will be in seclusion. He's at ease while we can't even get a good night's sleep. Ning Xinyue's gaze drifted towards a civilian house where Su Jie was in seclusion. She and Xiao Fengyuan stayed in this place, protectors for Su Jie. You go rest for a while. I'll take over from here. Xiao Fengyuan stood up, ready to relieve Xinyue of her duties when footsteps echoed from the alley. Xiao Fengyuan immediately turned, only to see a lantern ghost with a tall figure and cold eyes, carrying a lantern, slowly approaching from around the corner. As soon as this lantern ghost appeared, the white lantern he carried now bore the large character Mourn. Within the lantern, numerous blood-red eyes had appeared, staring intently through the lantern's paper at Ning Xinyue and Xiao Fengyuan, exuding an aura that chilled them to the bone. Would you like to be my lamp oil? The lantern ghost lifted its head, its gaze landing on Xiao Fengyuan. Its voice as hoarse as a crow's caw. Xiao Fengyuan didn't speak, silently raising the blood-song spear and thrusting it towards the lantern ghost. Days of battle had taught him that words and persuasion were useless against fierce ghosts. Any contact or triggering of their killing mechanism would lead to an immediate attack. The blood-song spear pierced the lantern ghost's body, pinning it against the wall. Xiao Fengyuan walked up slowly, about to deliver the final blow. With the strength of the blood-song spear and his robust spiritual power, not even a fourth-grade fierce ghost stood a chance against him. But at that moment, something unexpected happened. The lantern ghost, pinned to the wall, maintained a calm expression, merely lifting the lantern in its hand. On the lantern, the hidden cluster of red eyes blinked intensively, like twinkling light bulbs, causing the white lantern to flicker with red light. Crackle! Xiao Fengyuan's steps halted as a wick slowly grew from the top of his head, igniting a ghostly green flame, and his skin began to melt slowly as if it were candle wax. What? Xiao Fengyuan's demeanor changed in an instant, his gaze fierce as he stared at the lantern ghost opposite him, his spiritual power surging in an attempt to rid himself of the sinister spectral influence. But the action that had been effective in the past seemed somewhat ineffective this time. His skin was still melting, only at a significantly slower pace. Not good. This might be a fifth-grade fierce ghost. Ning Xinyue was also taken aback, as this was the first time they had encountered a fifth-grade fierce ghost over these 3 days. Not daring to be negligent, Ning Xinyue threw the Vajra bracelet and unleashed the profound ice-cold flow to freeze the lantern ghost, while also taking out the jade scripture to protect Xiao Fengyuan. The lantern ghost's head was shattered by the Vajra bracelet, and its body was frozen in place. What was eerie, however, was that the lantern ghost did not die. Within the ice, the flickering lights in the white lantern intensified, and they were accompanied by creepy chuckling. On the light screen protected by the jade scripture's tadpole text, white candles were sticking out, lit with ghostly flames and slowly piercing into the screen. Ning Xinyue's arm went numb, and looking down, she found her left hand sprouting numerous eyes, which were bizarrely rotating and staring straight at her face, the eerie influence seeping into the protection of the scripture. So fierce, this ghost. Enduring the pain, Ning Xinyue used the profound ice-cold flow to freeze her left hand. Difficult to deal with. Xiao Fingyuan's expression was solemn too, as the strength of this lantern ghost was somewhat beyond expectations. To think there are still living humans here. Suddenly, another chilling laughter came from above. They saw a pale-faced woman floating over, who, although appeared female, emitted a male voice. Painting woman Zhong Shiguan. Ning Xinyue and Xiao Fengyuan both became truly nervous, as they had heard Su Jie speak of the painting woman before and recognized the background of this foe. Dealing with one fifth-grade lantern ghost was already troublesome, but now there was also a secret realm elder, which truly seemed like bad luck was upon them. This is bad. Ning Xinyue stepped back, internally regretting causing such a disturbance. Junior sister Zhu, watch for the opportunity to take brother Su and leave. I will hold them off. Xiao Fingyuan's eyes were firm as if he had made a certain decision, and he resolutely stepped forward. Two cultivators, this power, a shining body, haha. It seems my luck is quite good today, just right for making into a ghost creature. Zhong Shiguan licked his lips, his eyes filled with insatiable greed as he ogled Ning Xinyue. Meanwhile, inside a civilian house, light streamed through the window, illuminating the entire room, a gentle glow casting over the bedhead. A man dressed in a black robe was sitting cross-legged in silence, his eyes tightly closed, only his chest rising and falling with his breathing. The light shone on the man's cheeks, and suddenly his eyelashes trembled slightly as his eyes slowly opened. Time seemed to stand still here, and as his dark eyes opened, a brilliance 1,000 times more intense than the sunlight bloomed radiantly. A profound and transcendental power, like tender sprouts emerging from withered rotten wood, was reviving within his body, an invisible force coalescing and bursting forth, baptizing his entire sea of consciousness and body. Primordial spirit. Achieved. Su Jie could feel his divine soul rising like the early morning sun, and with the last pair of eyes transforming, the divine radiance rose like a pillar, shining to the extremes of the sky dome, truly completing the ascent from divine soul to primordial spirit.